and lady.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's going to be biblical.
Hey everyone, welcome to Patriots Across the Pond, episode 19, here with friends. And we've got Paul and we've got John, and we are going to take a super deep dive into Q and Ghost in the Machine. How you guys doing?
I'm excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Tired, but I'm feeling kind of recharged, so it's all good.
You know, before we went live and the intro started, Stu, you said, okay, gentlemen and lady. And I don't know if you guys saw, I don't watch a lot of movies anymore, but I was just catching the, oh God, the one with Liam Neeson. It's a remake, The Naked Gun. And it was just very funny because there's a scene where they're like, gentlemen and lady. There was like one lady in the whole, it just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
So where do we start? Where do we start on all this? We're going to turn it over to you guys. And just, I've got to say, the last time you guys were on, I am pretty proud of the fact that like nothing shocks me anymore. And I don't really get any cognitive dissonance. But I had a little wee bit the last time you guys were on with the way, right, Stu? We were talking about this and some of the ways you guys look at things and have taken such deep dives. And I was like, it took me like a second to sort of imagine that maybe the narrative, even as a truther, that I have in my mind about who's good, who's bad. And it took me a minute. Like it was a little bit of a pause. And I just, I have to tell you, I thought that was amazing because if we're not always being challenged to think deeper and differently, we're not really growing and we're not, right? So thank you, because that was good for me.
Oh, good. It's kind of one of those things where the first time that Paul and I started talking about this stuff, and as we got further in, but the first time it was kind of like we both realized that the way that we think is it's different, but we're really coldly rational, and so we don't have emotion. Although when Paul called me one morning and said, you know what if Hillary Clinton isn't this bad person that everyone thinks she is? What if that's her character, but what if she isn't? And I'm like, no, there's no fucking way. No way. I hate her.
Have nothing to do with that.
Right. And it was about maybe 5 minutes. Now it's probably like a couple hours later, I called him up and I'm like, you know what? You might be right. You got to be able to hold that possibility.
Yes. That's the whole point. Holding on to it.
Right. I had this emotion. I love to hate her. I want to hate her. And you know what? She may be all that. She may be that bad person, but you have to be able to hold in your possibility hand the idea that, you know what, maybe things really aren't as they seem. And these people that we look at and go, oh my God, they're evil, they're bad, they're this, they're that. because WikiLeaks told me so. Well, maybe WikiLeaks is curated. Maybe all of this stuff is curated to get humanity to this point.
Which is a polite way to say lying.
Yeah, true.
I mean, sorry, Paul, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, the way I look at it is, John and I, when we first met, it's about 3 years ago. Actually, we didn't meet in person until quite a while after that. But when we first started talking to each other, we were trying to figure out what was going on in the world. Like, what are we seeing? And the way I thought about it was, there's a single way all this stuff we see is happening. Right? There's one coherent explanation that has no gaps that explains all of it. And if you settle on an explanation that has flaws that you can see, then you're not done.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if there's a flaw there, it has to have an explanation and it has to make sense. Because people just don't do things randomly. People are always motivated. They have intent. There's always reasoning behind what everybody does. Right? Now, it may be flawed reasoning. It may be criminal. It may be ridiculous. But you can always tease it out if you get enough information. And so when you said deep dive into Q, there are some chinks in the Q story that don't make sense at a very fundamental level, like what president authorized it. And unless you've addressed those flaws in your reasoning, you're not correct yet. And we just kept going. And, positing whether or not Hillary Clinton's a good guy or a bad guy ends up being like a tiny detail in what John and I have found. It gets so weird and big that it's bizarre, and it's really hard to get your head around. But if you can't let go of an emotional attachment to a belief that turns out that you've just made an assumption somewhere, then you're never going to get to the truth.
Yeah. I mean, the Hillary thing is tough because of the film, right? With the little girl and the New York City police, right? And
so people say.
But exactly, that's my point. Like, it's there. People saw it, apparently, allegedly. I mean, who knows? 5 of those 6 or something, if I'm getting my numbers right.
There are people who say they've seen it. There are people who think they've seen it, maybe.
But hasn't it floated? I've understood that it is out there and people have seen it. Now, it doesn't mean it wasn't created. I'm not, but
most of the time when people say, "Oh yeah, it has," all that means is that they saw somebody who said that it has.
Or there is a video. It's very shadowy, and you think it at one point. You kind of think you see the shape of what might be Huma Abedin's face. You don't even know who made that video,
right?
Yeah.
Like on what planet? Let me ask you this: what if that such a thing were made? Would it ever be? How would it get leaked?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there wouldn't be some good guy within the Black Cats and he leaks it or she leaks it, but it just seems like, okay, if you're going to take that at face value, then there's so many things you have to take at face value that all of a sudden you're in this place where, well, gee, I mean, I'll believe anything. If somebody said it came from WikiLeaks, if somebody said that Q said it, if somebody said that it came from a CIA file, well, of course I'm going to believe that because it supports what I want to believe.
I believe the CIA because they never lie.
This is the same CIA that called us all conspiracy theorists, invented the term in the 60s. So,
yeah, exactly. I mean, me personally, I was buzzing when I found you guys because I've waffled on to myself for quite a long time before I met Lisa, and I've had a few friends come on of mine, great girls there. But I found myself sitting out in the country wherever on the GoPro, doing my little Stu's News, questioning things and putting things out there, i.e., but what if that? Do you know what I mean? We've been told this, but what if that? Mm-hmm. And when you two came on, I thought, yes, you're taking it to another level to these thoughts that I was having. And it was great to see. It was great to hear. And I found a lot of passion in that.
Yeah, we don't know that we're right. I mean, that's the huge thing, too, that everyone should take away. Like, don't believe us. But we're throwing questions out there because we're like, well, this is what we think is going on, but I'm Leon at the bar. I'm no different. You guys don't know me. Nobody in the audience really knows me. So I'm just another guy, another voice at the bar saying maybe what he thinks. So it's up to everybody to search and research and try to decide what is true. The critical piece that I think a lot of people miss when they think about critical thinking is that there's an emotional component, and sometimes it's hidden. Like with me, right, with that whole Hillary thing, when Paul and I first talked about it, that I'm like, no, there's no way she's good. Except the reason I was saying that was because I really wanted to hate her. I'm not saying she is.
Right. No, but you're leaving that door open for the possibility to be able to look at things in a more objective, questioning way. Yes. And I think it was you, Paul, on one of the shows you did with Kaidi, where you said it would be interesting to have a whole show on thinking and go down that rabbit hole. And I love that. So maybe we keep that as a possibility, because it really is about opening your mind. I mean, isn't that the reason there's prejudice and there's all these other problems in the world? Because people get stuck in an emotional view of something and they don't break out of it, and we don't grow. We stay stunted.
I would go so far, and maybe I'll get haters for saying this, but I would go so far as to say that emotion is kind of the root of all non-thinking.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean emotion isn't valuable.
Right.
It means that if you're trying to rationally determine whether something's true or false, if emotion's in there anywhere, that is a vector for you being wrong and not knowing it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is as well, isn't it? You've got a lot of people in this truthing movement that are following the herd themselves.
Approximately all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Approximately all. Approximately means almost exactly.
Yeah.
It is very rare to get people who are not emotionally invested in anything in what they're saying.
Yeah, it becomes an echo chamber, right?
Yeah, I mean, John, how many times did I call you up over the course of a couple of years saying, "Oh man, I hate this," but I can't get away from it. It has to be true. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Yep. Yeah, we both gone through those those moments of like, well, wait a minute, all this time, like we thought, we were absolutely certain. Like 5 years ago, I was absolutely certain Obama was bad, Hillary was bad, Bill was bad, all these people, all these bad things were happening. And now I'm in a place going, I don't know all that for certain. You can't.
Well, it also kind of unexpectedly makes you redefine what is good and what is bad. Because when you pick through that, you realize that good and bad, well, I have come to the conclusion that good and bad is actually a kind of naive way to deal with reality. Which is like, that will blow people's minds because they can't fathom a world in which there isn't, there's good and bad. That's how it is, right? Well, but you can easily come up with scenarios where you can do something bad in order to cause a greater good.
Right.
And you can come up with scenarios where people do good things just to accomplish a larger bad thing. It's like chess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can make that argument when it comes to hurting children. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I'm sorry, if you have to do that to be in central casting or infiltrate.
I can give you a scenario trivially where you'll agree that it is worth it.
Really?
Yeah. If you could save 100 innocent children by killing one innocent child, would you do it? If you don't do it, 100 innocent children will die. Go.
That's horrible, right?
Yeah, it's really horrible.
Yeah, but what if that's exactly the kind of trolley problem that
See, you just got bit by the emotional attachment and not being rational. Yeah. You would have made a bad choice and 100 kids would have died.
Well, maybe not. I was left. You left me in the thought process. Right. I didn't actually make a decision, but it's a horrible decision to have to make, right?
Right. Those are the decisions that the people who run the world have to make.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Now, if you're going to kill, if you're going to hurt some child because to satisfy some sadist or cruel intention, well, yeah, that to me is wrong. I don't think that wouldn't necessarily factor into that trolley problem. I think what Paul and I are talking about is something from a lot further up, saying, okay, if we take this path, potentially billions of humans are going to die. Over the course of the next 1,000 years. If we take this path, some number less than that will die.
Yeah, I don't even know exact numbers.
You don't know.
And you're right, Paul, about the emotion, because when John just said that, I was like, yeah, of course. But when you say children, right? You're right? I'm a mother.
I can't do that. Can't do that. I mean,
exactly.
I have seen someone call John stupid because of this scenario.
Mhm.
because they could not drop the emotional attachment and understand the actual problem underneath it. So, so imagine an analogy of this is a chess game where your pieces are your family members. Okay. And you're playing against some other opponent and his pieces are his family members. Your opponent is fully willing to sacrifice his own family members to win the game. If you don't sacrifice your own family members to win the game, all of your family will die.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you do?
L. Lane Smith 17 is, oh no, is the audience ready for this? It's heavy. It's really heavy stuff.
Very happy.
But that's the thing. This is just reality. That, you know, almost everybody isn't fully aware of how brutal reality is because they're in this bubble of no, it's just good and bad. No, at the core level, it's this brutal.
Yeah.
Well, we know they've had to make decisions, whoever they are in charge, and whether that's Zoids or whatever coming down for the Q operation and things, and maybe that 4 to 6% loss forever is the collateral damage they have calculated that might not make it through the other side of this war.
Yeah, my personal, first of all, I don't know what the 4 to 6% is, but my personal best guess is that it's 4 to 6% of the people just cannot be shown how to think.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That could very well be it.
Yeah, because I do think potentially what they're talking about is even when people are shown the truth, they won't believe it. They will deny it. They won't believe they've been tricked, etc.
Yeah.
And we still don't know what suicide weekend is, do we either?
Well,
No.
Also, how many people can stomach the idea of, okay, you were tricked and the whole world is really screwed up or appears really screwed up, but the reason you were tricked is actually positive.
Right.
Most people can't get their head around that. That's exactly what we think is happening.
Yeah,
exactly.
I've seen more people say stuff like, well, the government, there's no way they should be psyoping the American public. Well, how do you make such a blanket statement like that? Of course they should be, if the ultimate end is what a lot of Anons believe it is, and it's what I believe it is too. It's that, you know, humanity will be in a better place. Yeah. Do I have to lie? Do you lie to your kids to keep them from doing something stupid?
Yeah. Yeah. Parents do it all the time. That's what's funny is these people live in simultaneously conflicting universes.
Yeah.
On one hand, they'll do something that they'll say they'll never do.
100%.
Sam Shalhoub points out, easier to fool someone than to convince them they've been fooled.
I think it was Mark Twain, right? Wasn't that a famous quote by Mark Twain who said that?
Sam, by the way, has a great show. Paul and I were on a couple of weeks ago too. It's there's so many good guys. I mean, like Stu, you guys, you got Sam, you got Rambo, you got all these guys, all these real good people that are hosting these shows. That News Treason, that have Mark A-Track. That
even A-Track.
Yeah, they go even A-Track. He's such a good guy. But they go into these things with open minds. And that's like the whole key to the thing. You might come to a conclusion that's different than somebody else, than even the host. But great. If you go into the discussion and you have an open mind, it's a valuable discussion, even if you don't have resolution.
Well, that's another thing. Just because somebody disagrees with you, even if you think it's a damaging opinion, you're not going to stop that. Humans have variances in the way they think. People are going to come to different conclusions. Mm-hmm. You're going to disagree with most of the people you meet. I mean, so enjoy.
I certainly do these days.
Yeah.
I try not to meet them.
Well, it's funny. So this past weekend, I was down in Texas with my buddies. We're quail hunting and having just a great time. And these are guys I've known and hunted with for 15 years. They're like brothers. But most of them are just, if any of these guys are watching right now, you guys are MAGA guys, but you're kind of normies because you guys are giving me shit about talking about the Federalist Papers. And so that's when I call you all faggots and then we all laugh and have another drink and move on. But there are a lot of people that are not willing to even entertain the idea that there's something larger going on. And it might be because they're busy focused on their family, which is great. Or they're focused on their business or their kids or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Well, people will say things like, well, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, it's like, well, hey, have you read this? Well, I'm not going to do that. Well, okay. All that means is it's in your priority list. It's down further than your desire to do something that you don't want to do.
Right.
Yeah. Or I said that poorly, but hopefully people understand. I don't even know what I said.
That was clear.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, John. It is your best mates that you abuse the most.
Yeah, it was really something. If he's watching, Lunchbox, your truck is lavender. It's not gray.
It's not great. It's gay. Yeah.
It's gay. It's glacier gay, not glacier gray. My buddy bought a new truck. He was super proud of it, and this gray color in the sunlight has a very faint lavender hue to it. And so it's never ending. It will be never ending until he gets rid of the truck eventually. It's the lavender menace. It's the gay truck.
See, is that a good or a bad thing?
It's a funny thing. I'm going to get him a dildo for a shift knob to put on there.
So does it look grey from one direction and purple from another?
No, it kind of looks just. It has a lavender, like an undertone to it. I'm like the worst guy for color, but I look at it and I'm like, dude, that's not gray. That's such a light lavender.
It's kind of a French color.
Your truck is gay. It's gay.
That's so funny.
Right, let's talk about Q. What were you guys doing before Q? Were you aware? Were you because obviously Q really accelerated our awakening and passion for this movement and stuff, and the fact that we actually might have discovered, since Trump came in, that we might have had some potentially good guys fighting for us, and it gave us a sort of new bit of hope, really. So what were you doing, in the run up to Q, and then how did you get into it, and were you on the chans looking into it, and how did you research it?
Here you go, Paul.
As a precursor to my answer, I'll just point out one of the absurdities of Q, which is Q is kind of like a guy running into an auditorium full of people saying, okay, everything's super screwed up and it's so far beyond your comprehension, you'll never get your head around it and you're not going to know exactly what's going on with anybody involved. But no one's coming to save you. So you have to do stuff, which causes mayhem, right? And everybody arguing with each other and chasing their tails around and digging into everything. Okay, so that right there tells me that Q is not what it appears to be. It's just it's a means to get people to think.
And active.
Yeah. So where I was at, let's see, extremely brief history. When I was young, my dad was involved with stuff, so I knew things like the Federal Reserve and the IRS were technically illegal. And then more recently, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I started watching the gold and silver markets and the backwardation and all that stuff, and came to the conclusion that there's very, very large forces in the financial markets that make it completely unexplainable. And so I was kind of primed, obviously 9/11 was BS just from the technical angle. There's no way that planes brought those buildings down, blah, blah, blah. Then Q happened, and I may be the only person on the planet who guessed the URL to the 4chan Q board, which wasn't visible in the index. And it's because Trump had said calm before the storm. And so I just typed CBTS, and there this crap came up and I went, what's that? So wow. I didn't find it through a link or anybody saying, hey, you have to look at this, which I think how probably everybody else except me found it. But I just dug in and started researching everything. And I spent about 5 years spending essentially all of my time trying to figure out what the hell was this? What is actually going on in the world? And I'd never been really political before that. I had pretty much ignored everything. And that forced me to look at it all. And so I was just going through the process of trying to figure out what was going on. And I guess 5 or 5.5 years or so went by. And then I met John, and John and I together started accelerating probably to about 4 times our speed. I had maybe 25,000 hours into it by the time I met John, and which is a lot. I mean, you can learn many careers in that period. And then when John and I got together, we spent a couple of years and just blew into history like no tomorrow. So
Yeah, it really was kind of a stepping stone thing because when we first started talking about Q, both of us had said, well, does it seem logical that 9 months after Trump is in office, that all of a sudden the Q operator's active, that this whole thing gets launched? If the conspiracy and if the cancer is as widespread globally as it is.
Yeah, there's not enough time to plan that.
Right.
No, and certainly not enough time to accomplish it. And so then our first question was, well, okay, if they launched it at that time, they're obviously they were disclosing stringers and some other things. So, geez, I mean, would they risk anything that would have jeopardized this huge operation that's so critical to humanity? Would they have jeopardized it at all?
Right. Why were they using old stringers from the 80s?
Yes, that's the other thing.
There are people from who had Q clearance who have said that a bunch of the stringers and the Q drops are actually old obsoleted stringers from the 80s.
Truth Hammer EVA. His dad even said that he recognized the stringers, but those stringers are old.
Yeah.
Explain stringers.
Stringer is an encoded sequence of characters that has encoded information in it, and if you know what you're looking for, you can tell what it means.
Do you remember the drop that talked about? It was like gold, green, apple, pineapple, or something like that, or pineapple sky, or I don't remember now what it was, but it was about supposedly the Rothschild, the helicopter that went down and whatever. But there was a whole series of characters and whatever. That's a stringer.
Now, Paul, you and John both recognized that, or it was because someone you knew had said that was old. Like you knew that was an old stringer by
Truth Hammer. I believe his father
from Truth Hammer.
Truth
brought that
Truth
out.
Hammer says his father had Q clearance and his father told him things. So I don't know that that's true. I know that Leon at the bar said that.
Yeah. Yes. This is true, except to think when you think about it, I mean, that's just one tiny aspect of it. But just think globally overall about this. Like, could they have started an operation? Because assuming that Obama's bad, then who would have authorized this? Would have had to have been Trump. Well, but could it have been Trump in 9 months that they planned and mapped everything out and knew exactly how they were going to do this?
And had control of events that would happen 5 years in the future, down to the day. I mean, and which have to be correct because like any given individual, because of an accident that nobody has control of, force majeure, right? Somebody gets hit by a bus and now they can't validate this thing because it can't be done now because the person's gone. So they had levels of control that were incomprehensible. And you can plan that all out in 9 months. I'm sorry, I don't think any human faction can plan that out in 9 months.
Right.
No.
Agreed.
No, so that was our stepping stone to go back and say, well, then if by the book, according to the law, if that isn't just disinformation by Q, then which president authorized it? Because otherwise it would be a coup.
Right.
So which president authorized it? And so we started to go back and it forces you into a place of going, well, okay, let's say that it happened. Let's say Obama was bad. Well, it had to have happened before Obama. But then if you had full operational control, would you ever allow anybody in the Oval Office that wasn't either fully controlled or a white hat acting as a black hat?
Right. The other thing it forces you to do is it forces you to go back and say, is Obama bad? Can we find evidence that Obama's good? And guess what? Yeah, you can find a lot of evidence that Obama is good, unquestionably, or he would have been killed.
Yeah.
In December of 2009, which is after he'd been in office for almost a year, he signed an executive order that made all existing information that the government held that concealed a crime declassified instantly. Bam. Why would a criminal, a bad guy, ever do that? And if a bad guy did do that, don't you think, Mr. Big Baddie at the top of the food chain would have just had him killed immediately?
100%.
So, but nobody noticed. Nothing happened. Like, that does not look like a bad guy move. Sorry. Like,
what's interesting too, Paul, that a lot of the chatter that was out there while the Biden show was going on was talking about how he kept reinstating Trump's executive order.
Oh yeah.
So
Biden
was that a
repeatedly did
clue?
that. Yeah.
Was that a clue for us to look back, for the Anons to look back and say, wait, did this ever happen before? Oh, gee, it happened in 2009, right? Like,
yeah.
Great point.
When you start Smith-Mundt Act is another one. Obama repealed the Smith-Mundt Act. Okay, well, what does that actually mean? So one day John calls me and said, hey, have you read the Smith-Mundt Act? And I said, no. And he says, you should read it. I don't think it says what people think it says. It doesn't. The propaganda is not illegal in the United States, and it has never been illegal for domestic propaganda.
It's a red herring. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act under Obama that everyone says, oh, Obama made it legal to propagandize the American people. Well, if you go back and you read the original Smith-Mundt Act, and everybody should do this. Don't trust me. Do it yourself. Go back and read the act itself. What it is, it's about domestically produced propaganda meant for dissemination internationally, not domestically. It prohibits that information that's produced for international purposes to come back to the U.S. That's it. That's all it does. Read it and tell me if I'm wrong. The other thing is, by the way, even if it did prohibit propaganda, there are no penalties in the Smith-Mundt Act. There's no enforcement. There's no enforcement action. So even if it was, so the government broke a law? Well, geez, really?
Yeah. The only thing, I guess a court could find you guilty of having done it, but they can't punish you for it. Congress could use it as a justification for impeachment, but Congress can use a ham sandwich for justification for impeachment.
Look what they did with Trump.
Yeah. Well, I mean, literally, they could use a pride flag or something as a justification. They can make up anything at will and say we think this is wrong.
Look at Alexander Vindman. He's a freaking ham sandwich.
Well, a ham sandwich would have got more clout than some of the stuff that I've tried to impeach him for, wouldn't it? Really?
And ham sandwiches are pretty powerful. I mean, Mama Cass choked on one and died. So
allegedly.
Allegedly.
They're also tasty.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So obviously, I mean, we could go, a long way back into that, but then that goes into your Percival theory and all sorts of things, doesn't it? So, I would like to do that on another show if we could, if you guys wanted to get into that a bit deeper. But
sure.
Anything more about Q? Because we are going to go into sort of Ghost in the Machine today, which is.
I would say the one thing that I look at Q as Q is an information detonator. And I think that when I say that, I mean, there are a lot of disparate groups of truthers, small, unconnected groups. And I think what Q did is it brought a lot of those people together, and then it attracted more people, because I wasn't in those truther groups prior to Q. I had my own thoughts about, things can't be what they seem, but I was busy with my business and my family and all this other stuff. I didn't really pay that much attention to it. But when I found Q, it was like, whoa. And
something's going on.
Yeah. And so I think it attracted a lot of people. I'm not autistic as far as I know, but because I can relate to people and all of that. But it did bring together, we call ourselves autists, right? That we see things that other people don't. A lot of Anons do. They see patterns, pattern recognition. And so I think what Q did is it maybe got almost like a magnet. It got people aligned. It pointed
gave people a common purpose.
Yeah. So I think that
for 15 years or so before Q, I had been saying to people that I knew that things are so corrupt that at some point corruption will be at the top of the political priority list for the entire population, and the number one item in the country will be corruption. And at that point, the whole house of cards comes down. And Q put a laser pointer on that and said, "Oh, look, corruption's the biggest problem." Yeah. So when that happened, I looked at it and said, "Uh-oh, here we go."
Yeah. Well, I just want to show this because you guys have written some amazing Substacks. I mean, I've only done a couple myself, but if anyone out there wants to learn about Q, I just put this together. it's just Joe M plans to save the world. It's a really interesting little 13-minute video for anyone just starting and want to get into it. I've got loads of articles on it. Neon Revolt, Martin Geddes, 10 essays about Q, various articles all down here. Q proofs, Mr. Truth Bomb series. You got the 3 sites where to look at the Q drops. I've got some Substack articles on here. Josh Reed, Alpha Warrior, Burning Bright. I've got Anon's. I've got your Substack on there and your Sapiocracy site there, which people can go on. You've got all your Substack articles there and all the podcasts you've been in.
Yeah,
that's amazing for people to catch up on. This goes down all the Q for Dummies with Abs and Stormy. I think that was Dave, actually, News Treason, did that. Loads of episodes there. It's to read out on Substack. All the Rumble videos they did. You got Patel Patriots Devolution series and Devolved from Dauntless Dialogue. Loads of shows to watch. Got X22, you know, Rambo and Friends, News Treason, DEFCON, Q After Hours, Patriot Underground, all these things, and just a bit of contact there. So if anyone wants to go on that, that'll take you a month to go through all that. But there's a lot
more. I was going to say there's an infinite number of podcasts where you can learn about this.
But it's just a great place. Just if you like reading, you want to dig into this stuff in your own time. There we go. So, guys, we want to talk about. I mean, I was rewatching your shows the other day, and you were saying these psyops have been going on for decades, potentially, haven't they?
Centuries,
or thousands of years.
Millennia.
Yeah.
Depends on how far you want to go back, but
yeah, that's the problem with where John and I ended up, is that when you question the narrative that Q puts out there and start saying, well, which POTUS operate, where did this start? There's some really powerful faction that's more powerful than me that is fighting this big boogeyman, right? Well, what's the origin of that? What does that look like? And you start going back through the presidents, you start finding really absurd stuff. Like if you take a close look at the Denver International Airport, it doesn't make any sense at all. Like, why do they have Blucifer, which is a 30-foot or 34-foot tall demonic blue stallion in front of the airport that has just photorealistic junk? What mayor of a major international hub like that would say, yeah, sure, that sounds like a good idea. Let's put that right where all the visitors see it. I mean, not to mention the murals. I mean, if you were really like evil and you wanted to have this new world order, are you going to advertise it at an airport like that and then draw all this controversy and all this publicity about it? Like the story of the horse sculptor. He was making the sculpture and it supposedly fell and killed him because it's demonic. It's absurd, except at face value, people take it and go, oh my God, they were really. Yeah, the answer to that is, the Satanists, they have to tell you what they're doing before they do it. Otherwise, it's somehow, bad Satanist.
Bad karma.
And so when you think through the logic of that rule set, first of all, anybody who believes that Satanists run the world, which, by the way, 2.5 years ago, I thought Satanists ran the world. I changed my opinion because, I think the idea is actually kind of dumb when you think through it. And here's why. First of all, they only have one rule, which is do as thou wilt, right? Do anything you want. That's the rule of Satanism. Except there's another rule, which is you have to tell your victims what you're going to do to them before you do it. Otherwise, you're being a bad Satanist. Okay, so where's the committee that decides if you actually fulfilled that commitment? And what, do they punish you if you didn't do it? Oh, and by the way, you can encode it so much that nobody can comprehend that it's even a message. So is there a committee that sits down and says, you encoded this message too much, it must be clearer? and then they gut you on the altar with their little ceremony, right?
You aren't clear about the consequences for humanity.
Right. So I mean, I could go on and on about how ridiculous the whole notion of Satanism is, but the core thing that defeats it is that it would destroy itself, because the most evil thing you can do is kill your loved ones and all the people that are close around you, which means they'd all be trying to kill each other. So guess what would happen? They'd all kill each other, and then you wouldn't have Satanism.
Yeah.
So everybody running around saying, "Oh, Satanists run the world," they haven't thought it all the way through yet. And I was in that boat. I hadn't thought it all the way through. And then when I thought it through, I thought, this is dumb. This can't be happening. There's like, I can see how people behave around me. And even the most dejected, corrupt individuals, if they did get together and cause something like that, it would immediately destroy itself.
Well, yeah. I mean, that phrase, there is no honor amongst thieves.
Yeah.
They would they'd all take each other out, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense when you think about it. So the rule set in order for this to be true would be, okay, we have to be super evil in these cryptic ways and we have to tell people stuff, but we also have to protect each other and grow our organization. Those are two mutually incompatible processes that have to happen at the same time. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So I probably just pissed off like 80% of the people watching this.
Well, no, that's a show on the Zoids, that one, isn't it?
Well, that's just cognitive dissonance, I mean, because ultimately, if that's what you believe or have come to that conclusion by using logic, if anybody's mad at you for saying that, then who cares? It's
well, also when you contemplate, I think John may have agreed. I don't even know for sure back then, but when you're sitting there believing that Satanists run the world, and you say, well, what if they don't? Like, you have to have an alternate theory in order to say, okay, if that's not happening, then what is? And so I was throwing spaghetti against the wall in my head, saying, well, okay, how else could it be if it's not that? And this is after lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of research. I started thinking about the possibility of, is there a way that what we're seeing could actually be because whoever's at the top is unquestionably benevolent, but has to act bad for some reason. And that's when we figured out the Zoid theory, because there are very good reasons why we think that's actually extremely likely.
Yeah.
Oh, we go into it, and we can discuss Hirschfeld in another show, but we go into it looking at the two world wars, 1 and 2, and how evil those wars were, right? Except without those wars, the U.S. would have had a military that, I mean, prior to World War I, our military could barely force project into Mexico and really on a stretch to the Philippines. And then after World War I, that was the drive for what we know as the military-industrial complex,
funded by the Federal Reserve,
and empowered by the Federal Reserve, right? Yeah. Oh, that's really bad. Yeah, except
income tax,
right?
Well, by the way, does anybody notice that income tax is pretty much a global phenomenon and it all happened at the same time? Huh? What are the odds of that?
Well, it's interesting. We were talking the other day, just not to sidebar, but to your point. We were chatting about how, JP Morgan wasn't really, if you look deep, he really wasn't a bad guy. Yeah. He was but we get this narrative, and then we all just are in when I say we, I'm talking about the awakened, and then we just start echoing, all this stuff. So honestly, it is about thinking. It's about really thinking and then researching.
Yeah. We showed it on a show the other day. Mike King did a little presentation on Dave's show, News Treason.
His new book.
It's about 40 minutes long about this JP Morgan and Jekyll Island, and we might have been wrong. And, it's all about thinking outside the box, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that I'm going to get even more people that hate me now. I think I've been trying to figure out why the flat Earth narrative is there in the last few years, because it just came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's a bazillion people who think that the world is flat. And very recently, in the last week or so, there's been a rash of flat earthers who've been spouting this stuff for years, coming forward and saying, "Oh, we were wrong. Just give up. The Earth's not flat." And I think the reason that narrative is there is to give the rest of the population permission, tacit permission to admit that they were wrong about things, because most of the people in this, normies, anons, like most of the people out there are wrong about their worldview right now. And I think we're about to go into a period where they're all shown to be wrong.
I think the flat Earth stuff, those guys saying that they're wrong, that's one sliver.
Yeah,
I think what we're going to see, though, is I think we will see mainstream media, when it flips, you will have news anchors, you will have pundits, you will have all these people that are going to come out and they're going to say, holy shit, we were duped just like you guys were. We were being told this stuff. We believed it. We believed it so strongly that we sat and, we were in your living room telling you that Trump was bad and these things were bad and this was good but we were duped.
Watch John Cleese. Have you noticed John Cleese is like the most anti-Trump person in the universe, and he's just on Twitter all the time spouting this stuff that John Cleese is extraordinarily intelligent. There's no way he believes that shit.
No. He's an actor too.
He's acting.
An actor. And he's actually a master of walking silly walks, right? Yeah. He's walking silly right now for everyone to see. That's what Paul and I think. The Python.
I've said for a long time, these people are going to be awakened by their TVs, by the people that have fed them these lines. Yeah. It's going to be those people that either tell on themselves or come clean, like Paul said, because they won't believe anyone else.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is if you look at comedians, right? In my opinion, comedians are some of the most intelligent people because they look at things from these very different angles. That's what brings the comedy, right? Look at George Carlin. Like, they think about things that the normal person doesn't. They bring it to the attention, and the way Robin Williams, like, so so it's kind of hard to think that these very talented comedians are that dumb.
Well, it's also, I just as a really short anecdote, I was sitting next to a guy at a bar. He's like maybe 65, 70 years old. He's definitely a boomer. And he was saying, I don't trust anything on TV. And then, 3 or 4 minutes later, he's telling me how this thing that he saw is true. And it got heated between us. I was like, how do you know it's true? He says, it was on TV. and I just like thought to myself, you just told me you don't believe what's on TV. And that's your reason for believing what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't think it's a normal thing.
I had a discussion with somebody I'm close to about the ICE stuff. And this person was saying, there's no way I shouldn't be going into these schools. They're traumatizing kids. And I said, well, what if they're going in to arrest some guy that raped a 13-year-old kid? Would that 13-year-old, do you think they're traumatized if this guy isn't arrested? Do you think the family isn't traumatized? I mean, like, who is saying this stuff? Like, all these kids, so kids are traumatized. Welcome to the real fucking world.
Right.
Like, so some family was traumatized because they saw a car in front of them get surrounded by ICE. How are they traumatized by that? It's a real fucking world.
People get arrested.
People get arrested. People do stupid shit. They get arrested for it. And it's brutal. And you know what? Your 13-year-old kid has probably seen a whole lot worse on the internet than a bunch of ICE guys pulling somebody over.
Yeah.
You see that woman making that little video the other day? I played it on a show the other day. I can't find it now. She's got piercings all in her face, but she was basically making a statement that it would potentially be better for her to take her 2 children out and herself, i.e. boom boom, right, than let the paedophiles from ICE come and take them away.
The pedophiles from ICE.
Yeah, in the hands of these pedophiles. I might see if I can find it, actually.
Well, I'll tell you what, a trauma story, a ridiculous trauma story. When I was going through my divorce, my ex-husband sunk to every possible low there was. And one low was that he filed a report that my rifle, that a month earlier, I had taken my rifle and I was waving it at him and the kids. And I'm thinking, did any judge think, gee, mister, why did you leave a gun waving homicidal maniac with your kids for a month and just show up now to file this report? Maybe it's false. However, 4 huge, I'm very small, I'm like 5'2", 4 huge policemen, sheriffs, whatever the frig they were, show up at my door at 8 o'clock while I'm cooking French toast for my kids before I have to take them to school. And they come in the house and they're there with the paperwork to take, take my, repossess my, whatever the hell the expression was, to take over my firearms. I'm like, my rifle? And I got to get these kids to school. Like normally I would have fought, but I was like, I'm trying to keep things calm, right? They were like 6'3", 6'4". They go in my house, right? Step away, ma'am, to get the rifle. And they say to me, if you want to get your children, out of the way so they don't have to see the rifle. I said, this is what you're worried that my kids who know about their Second Amendment rights are going to be traumatized by seeing the gun, except for the fact that you four just barged in my house before they have to go to school terrorizing us. I was like, no, we're fine. They could see it. And this is like, did they really believe what they were saying? The stupidity? And it's to your
They're
point.
trained to do it. Yeah.
Let me just play
They're trained to do it.
Oh my God.
I'm a mom in America. I had to stop looking at this. I often think that if it gets to the point of knocking on doors, God, and like to even have these thoughts, it's like I'm literally separating from reality right now. If it comes down to me taking out myself and my kids versus us being taken and harmed by ICE, like, God help me, I did not want to do it. This is not the life I wanted. But that is a very dark thought that I've had. Death would be a easier out than for my children to be taken and harmed by these pedophiles.
These people are stupid. These people are.
You know what they would, the only reason they would take her out? Because she was offensive to look at. Like that's the only reason I could think that they would come to her house and take her out.
That is a person. I would say that's a Zoid kid acting.
It looks like it, right? It's so ridiculous.
It's so far beyond what is actually possible in reality that all they're trying to do is wake people up so they'll go,
agreed.
That's not real. Like that's the awakening.
She had a diamond or a studded septum ring and then 57 other BBs in her face.
You could probably hook her up to a Tesla coil and make some really cool lightning coming out of her head.
I mean, there's so much stuff we've seen that is so absurd.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly.
Fourth pug right there.
Well, this is the other thing is the absurdity is across the entire spectrum of what you can see. So you have these people like one of the common types of videos you see is somebody sitting in their car or somebody sitting in front of a plate of food eating and talking to you. Think about that. Would you ever sit down and eat and say, you know what? I'm going to make a video about politics. Nobody would ever do that.
Right.
And so these things have been put into the information space, I think, so that people will eventually figure out that it's all bullshit. And this gets into the whole media thing that John and I have found. It's in all the media too. And so when you look at Q and say, wow, look at all these coincidences, it's mathematically impossible that this wasn't a big plan, right? The media is 1,000,000 times bigger. If it's mathematically impossible that Q is not true, wait till you see what's in the media.
Yeah,
because
but media, we're talking movies, not just movies, but popular songs in the 60s, the 70s.
All media.
Yes.
Children's books.
Except rap. There's not a lot in rap, except for Run DMC.
Run DNA.
Right.
Yeah.
Run DNA.
That's a Whoopi Goldberg reference from Sister Act. Sorry.
Yeah. So I used to really enjoy watching Whoopi Goldberg. I can't watch her anymore, but maybe
she's like a prophylactic
role of her life.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason she was. We're talking about Ghost in the Machine. There was a reason she was sitting there with a fucking clown Ghost in the Machine shirt on that day.
And let's go back in time. If any of us have followed Whoopi since the beginning, when she had her one-act show on Off Broadway and everything, she had a lot of very, like, remember, very what I would call realistic kind of, I get it, you know, truther kind of stuff to her.
Mhm.
And one of the things, remember when she did the blackface and they all turned against her and she's like, give me a break, you know, and then she had the, I think she was dating Ted Danson or whatever. And then the other time when I think it was her, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure it was her with Spike Lee, where she's like, why do people expect because I'm black, like I should think another black person's okay, like we're people, I don't abide by that. So now all of a sudden she's so extreme. So
Yeah,
it's a reason to say she's a good actress.
She's acting. Yeah, they're all acting.
Yeah.
Remember when I said that there has to be a singular explanation that makes all of this make sense?
Yeah.
The Zoid theory does that. John and I have spent over 2 years now trying to defeat it. We've pretty much given up trying to defeat it because everything we were digging up trying to defeat it was reinforcing it. And we literally haven't hit anything that hasn't reinforced it. So, and what it requires is that everything you're seeing is a show because people don't think.
That would make a lot of sense that a lot of people we've thought are complete and utter wrong uns, especially through the COVID times, have been playing this Zoid out acting narrative to steer humanity into the awakening to get people through it with the least amount of collateral damage as possible.
Yeah, do you remember Elisa, was it the mayor of New York that went on TV with a sandwich with a hamburger or something, talking about how great the sandwich was?
not
De
Bloomberg.
Blasio.
Yeah. He's like, this is really good. You should go get your vaccination because, like, this is just good.
And you're going to
stuff.
get a free hamburger and all this other nonsense.
True.
Just step back and think about that for a minute. No politician.
Yeah, we're
no
like,
politician would do that.
Guy, but
yeah,
again,
no politician would do that. But there he is.
Yeah,
that absurdity is everywhere.
Yeah,
and none of it would happen in the real world. There's an example. I don't know if I mentioned this last time we were on, but if you think objectively about like government and how inefficient it is, and we've all been raised in an environment where, you know, if you want something done right, don't have the government do it because they'll screw it all up and it'll cost 100 times as much and won't get done. And then you look at the Department of Motor Vehicles. I'm sure it's the same in Britain as it is in the U.S. It's just everybody has to go get a license once in a while, and you have to sit there and it's incredibly inefficient and it's frustrating. And everybody looks at it and says, "Why in the hell is this way?" Right? And then consider the motivations of politicians. Okay, every politician wants to get elected, so they want to do things, if only for show, even. Right? They just want to have a talking point that says, I did this. This is why you should elect me. Think about how big the budget is for the DMV in a given state and how hard it would be to make it efficient compared to everything else in the government. It would be a very small hobby project for any governor to optimize the DMV, and then he would look great. Right? Now, the DMV is the only place, or one of the only places, that everyone has to go. It is the worst case for government inefficiency. And yet no politician has ever optimized it. That's impossible.
Impossible unless the goal is to make government continue to appear
inefficient.
Yeah, I mean, think about the AT&T commercials. I don't know if you guys get those in the UK or not, but they had the Slowskis, the sloths that were working behind the counter, or the turtles or whatever it was, like
sloths. I mean, it is 180 degrees opposed to the motivations of all politicians to have the DMV look the way it does. So if it looks that way, the system doesn't work like you've been told it works. So how does it work? Well, what if they're doing it intentionally? Why would they do it intentionally? Because they want you to think government is inefficient, right? Because that makes the narrative of the big boogeyman make sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just quickly. I'm sorry. Have you two seen Melania?
I have not.
No.
I haven't either. So.
No.
I'll wait till it comes out. I hate going to movies. I really do.
I went with my mate, but it's the first time I've been in years and years. I actually said to her for a bit of laugh, I think the last time I went to the cinema before that was when I watched Michael Crawford in Condor Man.
When was that?
Well, about 30 years ago, probably.
I remember maybe the last time I was in the theater is when I lived in Loughborough, and we went to the Curzon Cinema, and I think it was Reservoir Dogs.
Wow.
Yeah, they were showing that it had been released. It was like a re-release in the UK, but yeah, I saw Reservoir Dogs in the theater. That might be the last movie I actually went to in a theater.
There's another really interesting wrinkle that I've noticed in the media and the behavior of popular media is if you look at the history of the music industry and you go into a restaurant and they're playing music in the background. Why is all the music that they're playing in the background from the 70s and 80s now? That doesn't make any sense historically. Unless they're trying to get you to look at what were the songs saying in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Because what's in the lyrics is exactly what John and I are talking about.
Yeah. It's interesting too, though, and I don't want to necessarily poke a hole in that because that makes a lot of sense, but you have to remember, because my daughter's 19, and starting maybe like 3-4 years ago with the internet, they're able to hear, it's not like it's just limited to radio. Like when we were growing up, whatever was popular and on there, right? So you didn't hear Glenn Miller necessarily, in the 70s, but I think, I could be wrong too, I think this younger generation is also attracted to the music of the 70s and 80s, because if you think about it, can you really hold in your hands anything significant from the 90s or the 2000s of sounds, of words, of lyrics, right? There was great music being produced in the 70s and 80s. So I think it's a combination that these kids have discovered it. And my daughter's playlist, I mean, half of it is she got some modern stuff, but is that era. So I think the exposure that the kids now have to be able to tap into that, build their own playlists, and then that's, what was it by design? I don't know if that's by design or it was on there, but I agree with you where we're going.
Back to the future.
Yeah.
And also, I would look at the song "The Day the Music Died."
Oh, that's a great song. Very potent lyrics.
It metaphorically describes exactly what you were saying, that the music turned to crap.
Yeah. You got a few Substacks with a lot of information in there about that, songs and TV and all the signs and everything. Would love to do a show about that as well. So there's plenty of subject matter there, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the media is in order to convince anybody of anything that's in the media, you have to show them hundreds of hours of stuff and say, see that and 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 that.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it doesn't become a coincidence anymore, doesn't it? And when you know that,
right. Yeah, any individual piece, or even if somebody's really motivated to not believe you, you could show them 100 things and they're not going to believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you were to tie them down to a chair and force them to watch 10,000, they might just say they believe it because that way they can get untied.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, I just want to say, we did a show a little while ago, and at the end of the show, Elisa and I went, "What's that?" And we had 2 $5 Rumble rants that people had given us. And we were like, "Oh, wow, that's the first thing." But your mate, Sam, that was in here earlier, that you put on his show, he gave us $10 earlier. So I'd want to say thank you very much for that. We're not used to things like that. So, yeah, that's brilliant. So, should we get into a bit of Ghost in the Machine then?
Yeah, let's do it. This is fun. We've done it before, but this video is so full of I wouldn't say it's necessarily timely comms, but I think it's overall stuff to say, hey, look at this stuff. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
also a really good example of steganography. They're hiding extra information that you wouldn't normally notice unless you're looking for it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Should we just play it all the way through then, and we can go back and have a little.
Yeah. I love this song.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I get
All the world's a stage.
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
Ammunition used by war.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldiers, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
gripping at my skin, the walls of night closing.
but the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
These are the Psy-War soldiers.
Hey, Stu, can you just go back to the Tiananmen Square when that tank turns? I've never looked at this. I just kind of thought it's right after the inflatable. So, okay, where that tank turns, do the tracks move? I've never even thought about that until just now.
They don't move.
I don't know if they're moving. I don't know if the tracks move. Can you slow it down?
The track on the right hand side of the tank, and left as we're looking, doesn't move at all.
And it comes right after a clip of them of the U.S. military moving an inflatable tank. They're showing you that it's a fake tank.
Wow.
Very interesting. I was actually in Tiananmen Square about a year after that happened. Of course, it was after the fact, but
Those
it was
tracks aren't moving.
Yeah, it was kind of eerie, though. Nonetheless, there was allegedly still blood in certain places and stuff. Why they would still be there, I have no idea, because they denied that it ever happened. But very interesting.
Yeah, John and I never noticed that before.
Well, I think the track on the right doesn't move at all.
Yes.
But I think the one on the left was moving.
It might.
It'd probably be best to watch it on YouTube and slow it right down.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you slow it here or not?
I can find. No, I can't here.
Yeah, maybe it was moving. It's hard to say. it's just one of those things that I noticed, like I hadn't ever noticed it before, when they show the inflatable tank flipping over and then they show the tank almost looks artificially turning, but maybe not.
I'm going through it frame by frame.
So have you got some slides you want to show, or do you want me to just go back and
well, let's go. I've got more of a time. Yeah, I have slides, but let's start. So at the beginning, that you guys all know, it's a Sun Tzu quote, and then you've got Betty Boop and the Snow White Ghost. I think we talked about that on Kitey's show. I don't even have all that stuff handy anymore, but
I have all the notes from it. I'm like a geek, so I took like copious notes of your entire decode on that show.
Well, there's a lot to the original cartoon that this was in, and I don't have enough in front of me, and I don't recall enough to go through this at length, but because there's other more significant stuff in this video. But I mean, that's an important thing, that the whole Ghost in the Machine comes from Betty Boop, which was not Walt Disney, if I recall. It was somebody else.
Yeah.
Who's Fleischer?
Fleischer, yeah.
Who was a competitor, and there's something in the backstory between Fleischer and Disney.
There's also a whole backstory of Fleischer, and there were several other cartoon studios at the same time, and essentially all of them were being paid by the militaries to do propaganda videos.
Interesting.
So it opens up the first scene of any vision that we see is Beijing commentary. That's Beijing, and then it goes to Berlin, which is the Fernsehturm, which is the radio tower that was in East Germany before, broadcasting facility, symbol of communist power. It's interesting that it's broadcasting. And by the way, the Tiananmen Square, that radio tower that was in the background, is also Central Radio and TV, China. And then you see the conductor. So you have these two big communication things, right? Then you have a conductor. And then the next scene is a chessboard. And I was looking at the chessboard trying to figure out what the placement was. And it's impossible to tell. It looks like it's improbable because of trust me, I've looked at this 27 different ways, printed the screenshot out, trying to figure out what the placement was. But what is interesting is that these chess pieces are Russian style chess pieces. You can go back to like the 60s and 70s. This is definitely a Russian set. So I just think that's probably the important piece to take away.
Yeah, the PSYOP groups don't include anything like this accidentally or just without a purpose. Everything you're looking at has a very specific purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you also say it was 9x9, this chessboard that you booked into, rather than 8x8?
That's what I mean. It should be 8x8, right? Or I think that's what a typical chessboard is. But it does appear to be 9x9, and I don't even have my sheet anymore. But
9 times. By the way, 99 in their comms means a lot.
Here's something else I'm just noticing right now. The way the Russian chess pieces are, U.S. like Western chess pieces are generally black or white. If you look at this, you've got white with a little black and black with a little white. Like okay, are they true white hats? Or are they true black hats? Or are they kind of both?
Grey hats.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that before.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Then the next set of scenes is Fort Bragg. I assume it's Fort Bragg, because I know that this, whatever these lodgepole pines are, that's Bragg. Now hit play here and look how the smoke goes. It doesn't go up.
It's going in reverse, isn't it? Let's just go
the reverse film.
Sprint, do or die around me.
They put that in there, obviously, right? Like, hey, we can make things look backwards. We can make things look in reverse. We can manipulate the entire things you see.
Yeah. And you also said, didn't you, because the smoke was going in reverse, the camera wasn't zooming in, was it? It was obviously therefore zooming out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? It may not mean anything, but it just sticks in my head when it says who pulls the strings. And we were talking before about these stringers from the 80s and the encoded sequences. And I don't know. I'm wondering.
Yeah, that might be.
Trying to make us look back, you know, that this is where, like, this is as far back. I mean,
yeah. There's a bazillion different references all over the place. They all point to each other. They all confirm each other. It's bizarre what's going on.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, this U-Bahn station, let it play. I think it shows.
Yeah, it shows the sign.
It shows the sign. So let's wait till we get there, then hit pause.
Does that mean anything, that espresso up there?
No.
Other than it's time to wake up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's another part of this. Keep going here. You're at 54. That's New York. I couldn't find the intersection. This is the 70th anniversary of China. This is September 30th, 2019. I just picked that up just because it says 70, so obviously it's that, so you know the date of the parade. But I just think it's more important to note that, okay, we've got East, you've got Russia, you've got China, and this movie is produced by Fourth Pug. A threat rises in the East. Yeah, we're the threat. we made it look like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, the tip of the spear, if we think about that famous picture of Trump when he was in military school, he's at the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
Yeah, true that. That's interesting.
And of course,
isn't Rambo another term for a spear from old German?
Is it? I didn't know.
It might be. I think he's in the chat. I see Rambo and friends in the chat. What's up, Joe?
RAMBOW is a spear.
It is.
Yeah. And don't forget, of course, what if Russia and China and others are working with POTUS to eliminate the New World Order?
Yeah. And you've got white and black in this scene, you know, like regardless of, you got the white uniforms, the black uniforms.
Or light and dark, at least.
Light and dark, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it was interesting in Melania film. The two main outfits she wore were black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say your last goodnight.
Russia invades Ukraine, so obviously this is a timely thing. So actually, let's see. Let me open up.
Yeah, this montage is loaded with hidden shit if you look for it.
Yep. Okay, there's two things. So, okay, keep going. I'll tell you to pause after like the tank APC goes by.
You guys, before you move, like at least this frame, there's all these black horses, right? And of course, in the movies, we always know the bad guy rides the black horse and the good guy rides the white horse. And then there's this like white, I don't know if there's more, but then all of a sudden, like in the middle of all this is this white horse, kind of like buried in between all the dark ones.
Yeah. Also, John, do you know what era of soldier that is? Are those Mongols?
It makes me think Mongols, but I mean, because they look Asian.
Well, but if they're Mongols, they shouldn't be using holsters or stirrups.
No, then they're probably not Mongols. They wouldn't have even had reins, probably.
Yeah. Well, movies about Mongols, they have stirrups. That's why I mention it.
Yeah, the armor is not Mongol armor.
Yeah.
As far as I
didn't look like it.
Okay. That's all right. I'm going to share my screen right there. Actually, I don't even need to share the screen. You got it perfectly stopped. Do you see in the middle where it says warfare is evolving? Do you see that there's a spotlight on a chair?
In the center underneath is?
Yes. Do you see the chair?
Yeah. No one's sitting in it.
Yeah. No one's sitting in it. Do you see the guy with his head down? Does it look like he has a bag over his head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see the video camera in the foreground, the little 4-inch screen?
Interrogation.
Yeah. That's an interrogation.
It looks like there's four people there, I think, with
one guy that they're going to interrogate or something. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, they caught a bad guy. They're going to interrogate him.
Okay. Hit play. Okay, back just a tiny hair. You see that guy with his hand? Okay, the military dude facing all the screens, right?
Yeah.
And he's going to put his hands up in a split second. So hit play and stop again. There you go.
You're caught.
Busted.
But you guys also said he's wearing like civilian clothes as opposed to military garb, right?
Yeah, he's a criminal. He's not a military guy.
Yes. Yep. So I thought that was interesting. Somebody's earlier, so somebody plays piano. You saw that. Tracking via infrared, that was in the frame right before the hands up.
Yeah, by the way, Stu, you might be able to use comma and period to go single frame forward and backwards. I don't know if that interface works on that, but it might help you. Or it'll erase your hard drive and reboot your machine.
Yeah, well, that didn't work. That didn't do either. Right? So I'm quite happy about that.
That's all right. So the next frame is going to be some dude throwing a Molotov cocktail at police. So like domestic unrest. And then you see someone on her phone just scrolling the phone. And I know it's a her because it comes back to her later, but it's an Asian woman. Consuming data.
All the world's a stage. Everybody gets their information from a box now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
all the world's a stage. It's in your hand.
Yeah.
It's the conductor. Next scene, hit pause here real quick. So this obviously is a machine from the 50s or 60s, and they're playing this. And the one guy says, psychological warfare. So the father of PSYOPs was a guy by the name of Brigadier General Robert McClure. In World War II, he was in charge of the PSYOP division. McClure comes back from World War II. He's in charge. He's left in charge of running newspapers in Germany. Was it Asia too? I mean, they had all this stuff, but
Indonesia, Japan. Yeah, it was like five or more countries.
Yeah, and the thing was, it was like 2,000 newspapers and 700 radio stations, and supposedly they had an office of 8 people, because post-war, like the powers that be were like, well, no, we don't want to have PSYOPs in peacetime. We don't need it in peacetime. So they gave him a bare bones crew, and he was fighting for a PSYOP division in peacetime. And then finally, in like 1951, the loudspeaker and leaflet division was formed at Fort Riley, Kansas.
The propagandas, by the way.
Yeah, they had a goose with like little pince-nez glasses on and a bow tie and everything, holding some playing cards, I believe. And he was their mascot. He was a proper gander. Propaganda.
Yeah, but we are led to believe that McClure ran all these newspapers and radio stations overseas with almost no staff and no budget, which is impossible.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. They were just lying.
So I think that's McClure's voice. I dug and I tried to find a transcript where he says psychological warfare and that whatever else he says. That might be McClure's voice. Like that would be like Fourth Pug, because they're watching now. You motherfuckers gave him a hat tip. I know you did. I know that's McClure's voice.
Or it's some guy acting like McClure. We don't know.
True. It's meant to be. Anyway, so you'll get further on in this thing. The guys touch anything. It says anything we touch, he touches the microphone.
But the mind of the enemy.
Target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
Ammunition used by PSYOPs.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldiers.
Pause.
Oh,
Pause
sorry.
the
Yeah, no, because that is the very, very interesting bit. This.
Yes, love this. And I saw that movie, by the way, a while ago. So I love that possibility of what this means.
Operation Mincemeat. So yeah, the movie is good. It throws in a love triangle that didn't exist because
they always have to,
that's
right?
what Hollywood requires. But for those of you that don't know what Operation Mincemeat was, the SOE prior to the war, they were trying to come up with ways how could we deceive the enemy and make them think that they've received certain plans of our secret plans, even though they were planted. And it was like an undersecretary or an assistant or a deputy secretary came up with a list of 50 dirty tricks, 50 ways to deceive. And that guy's name was Ian Fleming, who also wrote James Bond after the war. But Operation Mincemeat was, so the Allies at this point hadn't invaded Sicily. They had basically won in North Africa. Everybody knows the Allies were going to come in the soft underbelly of Europe. But the question was it going to be Greece or was it going to be Italy? And the idea was to try to convince the Nazis, because they wanted to go to Sicily. That's where the Allies wanted to go, and that's where they went. But to try to convince them that there's a possibility we might go to Greece, and Hitler had oil fields in Romania, which would have been vulnerable, right? So the idea was, hey, if we can get them to divert some of their forces to Greece. So they had this elaborate hoax where they had they had to find a guy who died of some causes that wouldn't be obvious in an autopsy. Like if the guy was shot or hung or whatever, be too obvious. So they had to find a guy that they eventually did find, a derelict, a dude who was homeless. He was a tramp. He accidentally ate rat poison because he was searching for found bread that was poisoned. Kept him in the cooler for like 3 months while they developed the rest of the plan. They went to such extremes as they gave him what they called pocket litter, which was like a picture of his ex-wife, tickets to the opera, his ID, all this stuff. And they had to pick a name for him, even that, because the Germans had access to a lot of personnel files from the Allies. So they had to pick a name of a guy that couldn't be necessarily easily located, but would be plausible. And they picked the name Major Martin, Harry Martin maybe, but there was a Harry Martin. Martin's a fairly common last name in the UK. There was a Martin that was stationed in the US at the time, RAF guy. Anyway, that they had this identity all planned out. And not only, I'm going to get in the weeds on this one because it's really good. They're trying to figure out, well, how do we then present this dead body? Well, let's say he washed overboard on a ship. Yeah, well, we can't let him be in the ocean too long or he'll totally decompose and maybe they won't even find him, given all the ocean currents. And then they had to figure out where they're going to drop him. And Portugal was technically neutral, but they were leading heavily to the Nazis, and so was Spain with dictator Franco. They dropped the body where Portuguese fishermen would find him. The Portuguese brought him in, turned him over immediately to the Spanish authorities. Now the Allies knew that they'd found him because they were hearing the radio chatter, but they didn't know, like, okay, did they buy it? Did they not buy it? Did they think it was, are they going to figure out that this guy died of rat poison? You know, the symptoms are similar because there's a lot of pneumonia that happens when you ingest rat poison, apparently. Fluid in the lungs. Well, the Spanish authorities, the other thing that they put in his pocket litter was that he was Roman Catholic. And so Spanish being a majority Catholic country, they were not keen to allow autopsies. So they didn't do an autopsy on the guy. And the other little twist that didn't come out till after the war, when the Spanish authorities contacted the Abwehr, which was the German, not the Gestapo, but they were like the CIA, but they were way more inept. When they contacted the Abwehr, the documents got sent to Admiral Canaris, who was the head of the Abwehr. Canaris supposedly was hated Hitler. And so whether or not Canaris bought the whole story hook, line, and sinker, or whether even if he had suspicions, he still passed it on as true. And what it did was it forced Germany to reroute at least 2 divisions to Greece. So did it help? Yeah, it kind of helped. It was an elaborate plot. All of that whole story to come back down to this one word, deceive, and a body floating in the water. Sorry. Yeah. There's just a lot of backstory to it. But
Hitler bought it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Also, this whole anecdote shows, like John, especially on the World War II stuff and the historical stuff, we've dug really, really deep and really tried to understand what kinds of things did they do, what was common, what was normal, how do these people behave, in order to try to figure out what was going on, which theories fit with these kind of patterns. So
yeah.
All
Move
right.
on.
Yeah, move on. What I am going to point out in a couple of seconds, so you're going to see this. You're going to see soccer boys in Africa or South America. I don't know what that
And
is.
at the same time,
Is expected and encouraged.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's a cross in the background. I don't know what this means. Although I know that soccer would have been exported to Africa, or maybe that's Brazil, for all I know.
There's that young lad there. He's got a hat on, but he's upside down.
Also, doesn't the soccer ball, remember when Trump throws this, Putin throws the soccer ball, you know, the secrets, maybe even adrenochrome because of it mimics the chemical makeup. I don't know, it's very prominent right smack in the middle of that picture.
You know, the adrenochrome molecule looks just like a rabbit.
Yeah,
it does,
right.
but it does have the hex.
But it has the hex. You know, I'm just saying there could be a lot of it's also black and white. Again, with the dark and light.
You kick it around.
Kick it around.
Could also just be younger kids. I mean, we persuade everybody.
Yeah, but why a soccer ball? That's like, could have had a basketball.
It's a pretty prevalent thing in South America for sure.
Oh yeah,
it's the biggest sport in the world, I believe, or the most popular.
Tis. Yeah, Stu could vouch for that.
Maybe that's what it is. It's the biggest thing in the world.
What's underneath? Like where he's sitting? Like I can't quite make that out. That imagery, is that?
Looks like it's a piece of wood on a 55-gallon
It's just
drum.
okay. It's just interesting. It looks mappish.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
No.
Rust.
Yeah, I haven't watched too much football in the last 5 years, funnily. I haven't watched too much football in the last 5 years. In fact, I used to watch Arsenal in England, really, but I pretty much stopped watching any of that when they were all taking a knee.
Yeah, that happened with American football too.
Yeah,
and
I don't want
basketball.
any of that. Right, should we move on a little bit?
Yeah, the next scene, just notice it's a Muslim school with girls learning.
Languages and the social sciences such as...
Stop. This is packed.
Yep.
You notice the guy on the right side is a vampire?
Yeah.
Yes.
You notice the lesbians kissing on the left?
Mm-hmm.
Revolution, change.
Yeah,
so like why is there a vampire there?
Yeah, even the Dracula thing. it's just outrageous, but it's also like Fourth Blog, I think, saying, yeah, we could create revolutions in society and normalize some of this shit.
Cultural revolution.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this whole push of Dracula and vampires over the years has been a nod to this trafficking and what's been going on with the children and the bloodlust?
Yes, but it's more than that. If you look at every single attribute, or at least every attribute I've been able to find about vampirism, like how vampires behave and what they do, it matches Zoids precisely, metaphorically. So, for example, one of the lesser known things about vampires is if you're being pursued by a vampire and you drop salt, the vampire has to stop and count the grains of salt. So it slows them down. And I think what that is it's a metaphor for the vampires of the Zoids. They appear bad. They're monsters, right? But they also take into account the tears of whatever action they're causing is.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing about vampires is like they won't enter your home unless you invite them in. In other words, if you just tell them to go get lost, they won't mess with you. There's a ton of other stuff about vampires, like, oh, they're undead. They died, but then they live forever, right? So every time you change an opinion, the old you dies. And so if you can imagine that taken to an extreme, when you discover the truth, you've changed so many opinions that basically the old you is completely dead, but you're still alive. That's kind of being undead, right? So, so my point is, every single attribute you can look at metaphorically, and it makes sense, and it builds this alternate picture. You know, why don't they see themselves in the mirror? Why can't you see them in the mirror? Well, because they're completely transparent.
Now, Paul, where does the lore or the what you're describing about vampires come from? Like who wrote that? Where did it come from? How do we know that that's
So
the vampires?
if you go back to, I think it's the 1730s, the very first vampire stories showed up. The word vampire is basically means witch. I think it's from Assyria, if I'm not mistaken, or it's one of the Middle Eastern countries is where that word comes from.
Okay.
So in Europe, I think it was in Eastern Europe, if I'm not mistaken, the first vampire stories appeared in newspapers, which was the main way that people communicated, news. And stories started appearing about these basically criminals, and they started being called vampires, which meant witches. Okay. Then by the 1760s or so, the rich criminals had completely overtaken the vampire narrative that was stewing, pissing people off, and turned it into kind of a legendary trope, fiction, and morphed it into something closer to what you get in like the 1900s or late 1800s with vampire stories.
Okay.
So the actual origin of it was people complaining about criminal behavior, like, organized crime, essentially. And then that morphed into more of a legendary story. And then that ends up being modernized in the early 1900s, and they get turned into these, hyper villains. But you really have to look closely. Like, people think they know what these tropes mean. Like, people think they know the story of Frankenstein, right? If you say, I'm kind of jumping to Frankenstein here, but it's kind of a good way to describe it. If you say Frankenstein, what are the things that happen in the Frankenstein story? They'll tell you, oh yeah, pitchforks and torches. The mobs wanted to kill Frankenstein. If you read the book, that just doesn't happen at all.
Mm.
Like, the original Frankenstein story doesn't have that in it. It's not there.
And that was written by a woman, right? Mary Shelley. Was she the one?
Yeah. Frankenstein is all about the unwise release of technology onto humanity.
Wow.
And people think they know what Frankenstein is, but if you read the book, it's just a completely different story.
Very interesting. It was Hollywoodized, right? Is what you're saying?
Well, that's the excuse. Or is this part of the media tapestry that the people who run the world are putting in front of us so that we'll wake up and stop believing everything we're told?
Yeah.
Didn't I hear you say as well that every book written is not the same as the film?
For the most part, yes. Some are very close, but most of them have substantial differences, and in the differences is information. Like in the book 2001: Space Odyssey, the spaceship goes to Saturn, and it's all about a moon that orbits Saturn. And then in the movie, it's Jupiter. And if you watch interviews and things, they say, "Oh yeah, well, we thought the audience would like it better." But if you look at the context of everything that's involved and read it through a bird language lens, it's not that way at all. Like, there's a reason it was originally Saturn and it changed to Jupiter. So,
all right, should we move on a little bit?
Yeah, let's do. You're going to see a woman looking at her phone with chaos all around her.
And sociology.
There. I'm just pointing out. Just notice what these images are showing. Influence. She's on her phone, right?
Right. Broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human.
Pause 1 second. That woman has an umbrella, yet she's completely soaked. Look at her hair.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
No.
And I can see the bottom of her jacket, her stuff getting wet, but her shirt is wet. You can see her bra. Her hair is wet.
Her hair, yeah.
Oh, she's sodden completely.
You can't escape. You can't escape the water.
And the water is the propaganda.
Yes.
Water is a metaphor for propaganda.
And I know you guys went right past the clock.
The inner workings of the.
Well, it also resembles to me, not completely, but the clock tower in Prague, the astronomical clock, whatever. Yep. That's what. But however, it's like all through time, like we've been here, or we're doing this, or time. We have plenty of time. I don't know, something with time, right?
Yeah.
You don't think that's a reference to 4cog, do you? It's 4 there.
3, 4. Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that might be.
And sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping at my skin, the walls of night closing.
More kabuki theater. There's chessboard. There's another kabuki image coming up.
But the use of this force as an integral part of combat.
So do you think it's almost like I say, hey, we're moving chess pieces, but we're doing it with theater. We're doing it with actors. We're doing it with the information space. We're doing it with all this stuff around you, which is what I think exactly is going on.
Yeah.
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 Integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
We are everywhere.
I mean, we've heard these Newsweek articles about the 60,000 secret army, but it's potentially a lot more than that, and potentially these people in these secret armies, these actors, are everywhere worldwide.
It's one of the things I've pointed out forever about Q clearance. You know, people say, oh, Q this, Q that, the military. I know how the military works. Okay, so how many people have Q clearance?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot know the answer to that. And it could be millions, and you would never know it.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching one of Rambo shows, and didn't they build a complete town over the top of an airport, or vice versa?
In Seattle, World War II, the Boeing factory. Yep, they built it will look like a town over the top of the aircraft manufacturing facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of deception is unreal, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we're all in the theater seats. We are everywhere. Yep, enjoy the show.
It's even weirder if the actual reason they did that was so that we would use it as an example now to wake people up.
Yeah.
That kind of deception is possible. Maybe they didn't even need to do that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one global question about this. So you have Fourth PSYOP group, right? This was, I think, the first time when this video came out in 21 or 22.
22, I think, in May.
Yeah, so it would have been the first time that the Fourth PSYOP group was actually like out there visibly recruiting. Like, do you really think they needed to recruit, or was this video meant to be a message?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a recruitment video.
I don't think they needed to recruit at all.
No.
Well, it's like you stating the fact that potentially most of it or all of it was already done before that first Q drop came out. The same with them dropping that video. I mean, they wouldn't drop a video to give any game away, would they?
Right.
No.
Right. Certainly wouldn't want to jeopardize any operation.
But especially if propaganda is illegal.
Oh, no. Obama made it legal, remember?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, I wrote the dates down in the videos and when they came out, the 6 videos. So I don't know if that interests you. There might be something in there, but.
Okay, hit pause here. I'm going to share my screen. So the clock says, 7:45 or whatever. It doesn't add up to 17. But what I think is interesting is this. So when you show the screen, this is where it is. Stadmitte is where that U-Bahn station is. The red line represents East Germany. What East Germany was here. Checkpoint Charlie. I just thought it was interesting to kind of map it out because they could have chosen, any U-Bahn site. They didn't have to show the Mittelstadt sign, which I do believe they show at one point.
It's right in the center of Berlin.
Yeah.
It's like if you went, that's Berlin, then you get that station.
This is over here is the Tiergarten. The Brandenburg Gate is here. Well, it says here, that's the station, but it's here. And where the Hitler's bunker was here. The Reichschancellery would have been, I think, here. Yeah. Anyway, just fascinating. I just thought the location was interesting.
Yeah.
It does say Mittelstadt in the back. That block.
Do you want me to pause it there?
Yeah, because okay, so Betty Boop is showing that this ghost in the machine. There's somebody underneath the clown. It's the ghost. What's going to be interesting though is that at 2:49, you're going to see us. It'll be a I don't know how long it is, through 2:49 to 3:19 or so.
Yeah,
I've got my notes. Notice the series of clicks in the background.
By the way, John.
Yeah.
Something that just occurred to me that's never occurred to me before is I've always looked at that ghost and said it's really weird that he just has these two long legs and then a head. But if you look at that metaphorically, like we've been doing, that's the Zoids. They don't have a body. They have to use the human population and get the human population to do things because they don't have a body. And this is a theme that's repeated metaphorically through all the media.
Yeah, metaphorical body.
Yeah.
There are humans. It's not. We don't want people to think we think the Zoids are.
Yeah, no, they actually exist, but the thing is, they do things at population scales, and they don't have the manpower to do it. So the way they do it is they get the population to do what they want them to do.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, do you want me to play this through past 3:19? Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do, I'll mute myself for this so everyone can hear it a little bit better.
Just listen. There's 5 groups of clicks throughout this thing, so just listen to them. All right, so
These are the Psy-War soldiers.
Stop.
Yeah, you gotta stop. It's fine. I share my screen real quick. This is so people can see what, if they weren't sure what they heard. So there was 4, 4, 3, 5, 2. And so I looked at all the Q drops to try to figure out, like, okay, what are we talking about here? What combination? Like, do I look at 40, 44 or 43 or 52 or what? I looked at every combination, and what I got was, let's see.
And you added them as well, like just to 18?
Yeah, I didn't get anything with that, but what I got was the drops that actually made complete sense was drop 4 and then drop 4, 3, 5, 2. Which one am I sharing here? I think I've got 4.
Yeah, 4.
4. So Patriots in Control, Operation Mockingbird. Who says that Operation Mockingbird had to be bad? Operation Mockingbird was the media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fourth Pog, this whole video is about the media, the world being a stage. So I think that's part of this without even going through the drop. Because when I look at drops, it's not necessarily that all, each sentence is related to the next is related to the next. I think there are crumbs in each drop that might be able to be taken out separately or looked at separately. So what I see with this one is Operation Mockingbird, Patriots in Control, sit back and enjoy the show. So now we'll go to...
But no one's coming to save you.
Right. 4352. I can zoom, I think. Hang on, let me widen that up. Okay, so you got Trump's tweet about Antifa. This is where it gets important. Irregular warfare. Warfare, by the way. I'm not sure why that's a misspell. I think it might have been the next drop. It was like extra E on the move or something. I'd have to look. But this describes exactly what Fourth Pog does, this whole paragraph. I'm not going to be pedantic and read it. It's drop 4352. But it talks about a political struggle. Both sides use armed force, but it's not always conducted by a single group, centralized, different actors with various aims, loosely connected in these networks. Yeah. I mean, to me, this whole thing just basically screams, this is what Fourth Pog does. It's an insurgency. So I don't know if you want me to read that or if that's good.
Yeah. No, I'm sure everyone can read that, can't they?
Yeah, just go to 4352 on QAG.
All of these conclusions are really what John and I call squishy or stretchy.
Yes.
Any of them in isolation you'd look at it and say, well, that doesn't really tell you anything. The problem is that they all add up. When you start seeing more and more of them, they all lean the same direction. And when you get thousands of them, you start to say, wait a second, there's no way they all lean the same way.
Well, that's exactly what you two have done, isn't it? The more you've tried to prove yourselves wrong, the more you think, oh, fuck, here we go again.
Yeah, right. Well, think about this. Tell me those clicks. Why those clicks were in that video for a reason, in the way that they were. I mean, it was very clearly 5 separate groups of clicks. Why else would they be there? They had to point to something. Why wouldn't they point to the drop? So when you go and you look at it, you group the numbers in a certain way with 4 and 4352.
Yeah, normal sound editor wouldn't do that.
Right. They speak exactly to these 2 drops, especially this one.
I imagine you did every combination possible out of those clicks as well.
I did, yeah. That was like an hour of looking at looking 4 and then 4 and 443 and 445. Yeah, but these match up absolutely perfectly. When I hit this one, I was just like, holy shit. All of this insurgency stuff, this is exactly like this sentence. This is best achieved when the political cause has strong appeal, manipulating religious, tribal, or local identity. I mean, it sounds like it's a bad thing, except when Fourth Pog does it for the right reasons, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Or when the Zoids do it for the right reasons, it's a good thing in the macro sense.
Right. So, yeah.
Forget that it's mind-bendingly complex.
Yeah.
Again, like over the click series, you've got a photo. You don't have to go back to the video, but there's a photo of the Maidan Revolution, a photo of Tunisian Revolution in 2010 or 2011. There's a leaflet drop that went out of the plane. I think that was over Afghanistan. I'm not sure, but given the desert and the mountains. Then there was a Hong Kong protest. And then you've got the Fort Bragg, the white mask guys. Then a TV on fire as the ghost is dancing. Chaos, right? Chaos on your screen. Yeah. Then there was the...
Get Smart.
What?
Chaos from Get Smart.
Chaos. Would you believe? 20. Then it was the inflatable tank, the 23rd Special HQ, World War II, Tiananmen Square again. And I think I did actually see the nearest tread move this time. But then it's Iraq, the fall of the Berlin Wall, then Gaddafi. And the messaging was, we are everywhere, a feeling in the dark, a message in the stars, ghosts in the machine.
Yeah, and by the way, like you want to think stars above your head, but what if it's the stars, the star actors of the show?
Yes.
The messages in the stars.
Yes.
Right. And it was Ghost in the Machine. What are we? I mean, it's so
what
good.
Comma are we?
Yeah,
not
that's
what are we?
You're right. What?
So we are what? They're asking, what are we? Except not what are we? It's we are what?
Do you think that the video's named Ghost in the Machine, obviously GITM, it's the first 4 letters of Gitmo. Do you think there's any correlation there?
Gitmo may have been named that because of the term Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah.
Or Ghost in the Machine.
Could be.
That's the thing we found. We've found historical references to things that go back way earlier than any of this stuff we're talking about, back into the 1800s. And we found things that appear to be predictive of what happened decades later. There's a great example. There were 2 eclipses across the United States that drew a big cross over the United States. Right? Right. Yeah, Nineveh and Salem. Well, somebody started those towns because they were on those lines, because statistically it's impossible that happened. And that happened in the mid 1800s. Like, they sent people out to found towns. And the thing is, that's irrefutable evidence that it is mathematically impossible to happen randomly. Well, somebody did that.
I wouldn't call it irrefutable only because it's squishy. But
well, yeah.
But it lines up with everything else.
Yeah, I mean, you could pick a way to calculate the probability, and every answer you get is it's so improbable as to be impossible.
They can predict eclipses hundreds of years in advance, right? So it's a possibility, and
but what it tells you, what it tells you is somebody deliberately did something that would appear to be completely unnecessary, other than to mess with people's heads.
So this is where we lose people. Because we've read so much, we've gone so far back, and the coincidences that have happened, the way all of these things line up in books from the 1800s, in media from the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, and all the way through to now, the UFO tropes, all of this stuff is like, how could it be that there's an eclipse and you've got Nineveh and Salem? Like,
somebody is intentionally doing this stuff. And look at another thing. Everybody's running around trying to figure out who the supervillain is that gave us COVID and the vaccinations and is doing all this fraud, and it's like a supra-governmental conspiracy, right? I think they're going to uncover some guy we've never heard of who's got trillions of dollars, who's just being a total jerk, right? But if you go back in literature, the whole idea of a supervillain at that scale doesn't exist really until James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back further and try to find earlier incarnations that aren't quite as super villainy, the earliest we've been able to find is Moriarty in Sherlock Holmes in the late 1800s.
But he's one guy. He doesn't have a worldwide network like Spectre or the Hydra in the Bond series stuff.
Right. And then you go forward to Flash Gordon. You get Killer Kane, which is kind of more super villainy, except he's just a ruler. He's a czar. He's a king. Right. You don't get the real Bond supervillain until early 50s, 54, 50s, I think. Yeah. And now that's really, really recent. Mm-hmm. If you look at world events going back hundreds of years, like the whole notion of a supervillain, if this is what's happening now, that should be in literature, shouldn't it? I mean, you would think that 200, 300, 400 years ago, look at these epic tales. There's no supervillains in epic tales. Now, a bunch of people are going to point out things from ancient scripts and say, well, this person was a supervillain. No, it's just a bad guy who was a king or a bad guy who had some influence. It's not like worldwide conspiracy or country-wide conspiracy. This James Bond match to the narratives we're being shown now is like a glove fit. So why would you do that when you're thinking about psyops? And the answer is neuro-linguistic programming. They're getting people familiar with the structure of the concept of what's about to be unleashed so that people believe it. Everybody's used to supervillains now. And so when they roll out a supervillain, like look at Klaus Schwab.
Yeah.
Like he could be cast as a supervillain in a Bond movie.
Yeah.
All he needs is a white furry cat with a diamond necklace that he strokes, and he would be perfect.
They did have him dressed up almost like Darth Vader, didn't they?
Yeah. With that
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
Why would a guy who's the head of the World Economic Forum, where all the richest people in the world are, why would he ever show up dressed in anything but a suit, let alone a fucking spacesuit with a big medallion to look like he's like Heaven's Gate, like he's the guy who's going to go meet the aliens in the Haley Bob comet?
He'd be in an Armani suit.
Yeah.
He's a caricature.
Exactly.
A cartoon.
Like most of them are.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So have you Obviously, won't do it now. That's nice. 2 hours. Have you guys dug into the other Ghost in the Machine videos?
I looked at one. I don't remember which one it was.
Not in this level of detail.
Yeah, certainly not in this level of detail.
I'll just share my screen a minute because I think they've done. I was just having a look last night. I've downloaded these. They have done Ghost in the Machine 2, Believe, Time, and these are shorter ones. Conditioning, Resistance, and the first Ghost in the Machine. And I was just having a look around YouTube last night. I also found there's an 8th PSYOP group.
Yep.
Do you know anything about that? Because then I was looking, was there a 7th? Is there a 4th? 3rd? You know, looking about these things. Also found another video that said it was it's from a different channel, 4th Disclosure, new video from the 4th PSYOP group, Airborne Division. But you can't guarantee who's these from because anyone can make a video up. But I did, I've got these downloaded, but let me just put that over there. I did get the dates of these. Now, Ghost in the Machine 1 was the 2nd of May 2022, which is about 7 months, I believe, before that last Q drop. Resistance was 29th of the 4th, 24, after the Q drops are finished. But then you've got 2 drops on the 30th, 2024, and then the last 2 drops were both on the 2nd of May. So they were in April. They were the 2nd of May. So I didn't know if that had any sort of relevance.
I would just ask the question: why is a PSYOP group putting out PR material at all? I mean, think about it from the standpoint of, okay, you got a government, you got a military. Wouldn't PSYOPs be like the most secret thing they do?
Right.
Yeah.
Why the hell are they advertising their existence and telling us their methods?
Because
they're bragging about what they do. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Unless they're just preparing us because it's all done.
Or there's what I believe is going on is, people talk about disclosure and D-class and all this stuff, and I think that's a very small view on the actual reveal that's happening. I think if you look at all the media and try to visualize yourself going forward 50 years and then looking back at the entire historical information space, John and I have found a massive amount of hidden stuff in all of the media that says this entire thing was orchestrated for benevolent reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In 50 or 100 years, it's going to be almost impossible for people not to conclude, yeah, that's what happened. Powerful people set all this shit in motion, put on the biggest complicated show in the universe, and changed the world. And it worked out great.
Hey, Stu, I was looking because you guys across the pond, you do the dates different, but those dates, a lot of them, especially when we're looking at today, it said 2/5, which I thought was interesting because today's February 5th. It's a little coincidence.
No, that is interesting. Yeah, May 2nd, February 5th.
Yeah. Nothing is random. Everything has meaning.
Who knows?
Yeah, and there was one other video came out as well, wasn't it? A little while ago. Do you remember? It was about a minute long. It was "Fly Me to the Moon."
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
And I can't source that because that video is not on the 4th. There's only 6 on their YouTube page. But
it's also interesting that there's so much talk right now about NASA just went to the moon or is going to the moon.
Yeah.
Which I'm not even following at all. The whole Elon Musk versus NASA thing.
Yeah. Well, I've got that. I've put that as an outro actually for people to watch today because I don't know where it comes from, but I know
I'll bet Rambo has a copy. Is Rambo still in the chat?
Instagram. I know that they put stuff up on their Instagram channel, and I would go there just to check and see if there might be something there. There's other stuff. There's like more unit relevant stuff like their celebrations and stuff like that. But
well, that's all right. I can check that now because I am back on there. I've had 2 channels deleted, but I'm covertly on there now. I haven't made any posts, but we have got a new Instagram, Patriots Across The Pond, so I can go check that out later.
Nice.
I think I got it on YouTube. I'll paste a link in the chat, the private chat.
Yeah. Oh no, I've got it here. I just didn't know where it came
originated from.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was from the Foresight group or not.
Okay.
I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
If it's the one I'm remembering, I think it is too. I don't have it.
Oh
yeah, it's
well, it's
exactly the same style, same production value.
Yeah.
Let me just play this. It's only a minute long.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars.
Actors.
Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter.
By the way,
Let me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what life is like on Jupiter and Mars.
did you notice the cell animator? There was a fraction of a second clip of a woman animating a cell for a Hollywood movie, like a Disney right there.
Disney, yeah.
Why in the world you got a woman in fatigues doing consumer level cartoons? What are they telling you?
Well, they're showing a terrorist.
Right, a big bad guy.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's a comic.
It's a cartoon. They're everywhere.
Guess who's making our media? Like, people think it's just a business model in Hollywood. What if it's not? What if that's just the cover for what it is?
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah, I'm extreme in that I think that everything that is out there, everything we can possibly see or know or view or read is influenced one way or the other by Zoid/Fourth Bug.
Yeah.
I've heard people talking about this before as well. Do you know?
That's Midtown, isn't it?
Is it? It's not. That's not 9/11 area, is it? Twin Towers? No.
No, go up, go back just a little bit so it shows a higher view of that. A little further. Yeah. So, well, you know what? No, it's not because
no, Twin Towers is south.
Yeah, they're south and they're right. They're real close to the water. They're way down at the bottom.
Down here more.
Yeah.
That's up close to
it's just south of Central Park. Midtown. I don't know what area that is.
Yeah, it's just interesting that it would start there. Might be worth looking into. No.
Madison Square Garden, I wonder.
By the way,
Well, the way it winds around like the. I'm trying to picture where that would be, because is that a road that they're showing? Because there aren't a lot of loops. Oh, you know where that might be? Where the Metropolitan MetLife building has around, what is that, 40th or so street, where it winds, you have to go around. That's the only place really in the city where there's like the cars go around. Otherwise, it's pretty grid.
Yeah.
Could be there.
Yeah, it's Midtown West.
You know, we were mentioning how, you know, what if the Hollywood production that happens is more controlled than we think. Well, actually, that would explain the lyrics to the song Stairway to Heaven. If the people who ran the world couldn't pull this plan off without actually owning all the large businesses like this, then they had to buy the Stairway to Heaven in order to pull it off.
Wow.
And the next question is, why are the lyrics to Stairway to Heaven so cryptic? And the answer is, anywhere you find cryptic lyrics, there's hidden information.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that all roads lead to Led Zeppelin in my life with my fiance. I mean, everything comes back to Led Zeppelin. So
what you know what my interpretation of Led Zeppelin is? The Zeppelin is basically a hot air balloon.
right.
It's a big thing full of hot air, and they're leading it around. So it is a Led Zeppelin.
And apparently, according to why it's LED, was because they felt in America, if it was LEAD, like real lead, we would pronounce it lead. So they took the A out to make it just lead.
That's what they say, but the stuff I found in the media, great example is My Chemical Romance. If you look at the interviews of what they say is an explanation for a song or why they did things, it's BS. Like they're like, for example, Welcome to the Black Parade. When you read the lyrics of that, it's all about the show of COVID. But when you read the transcripts of the interviews of them explaining what it's about, what they're saying doesn't make sense.
Right.
It just BS. They didn't write those words to mean what they said. It's because it doesn't match. So, but everybody's going to say, "Oh no, this is why," because I heard it. It was on TV.
Or because he said it. You know what
Right.
I'm trying to say? Like
Right.
whoever the singer or that, right. And
Right. And so
Okay.
what I found across all artists is if you watch interviews with like, Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin or any of these bands, don't trust what they say about the songs.
right.
Look at the songs for what they are and say, is this like, what does this mean?
What does it mean? Look at Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I mean,
Yeah. Well, what does Pink Floyd mean? Right.
Exactly.
Why did they choose the name Pink Floyd? I have a theory on this, John.
What is it?
You haven't heard this one yet.
No, go.
You're ready. Okay. So a humanoid is a thing that is like a human. So what is a Pink Floyd? Pink-full-oid. The whole cultural system we're looking at is all pinkos and commies. It is pink-full. It is a pink-full-oid. Now, once again, it's really stretchy. But the thing is, when you go through all the name, like look at Black Sabbath, the name of the band. Well, this is a really dark show, isn't it? It's like a Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Priest, right? It's the priests of backstabbery,
yeah.
right? It's a really dark show. Once again, Van Halen from Hell.
Rush.
God, yeah, Rush.
Rush.
What a rush! hurry!
Look. I mean, again, it's just you take Rush for example. The Temple of Syrinx.
Oh,
we are
God.
the priests of the Temple of Syrinx.
Yeah, what's the Syrinx, John?
That's the Zoids.
Yeah.
It's like they control all the information. We're the priests of the Temple of Syrinx.
Our great computers fill these hallowed halls. They're using AI.
Yeah. Or Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson and Neil Peart just made that up.
Just magically came up with all these lyrics that match all of the things we're seeing.
So
And the thing is, it doesn't stop with just a few.
no,
It's all of it. It's all of it.
so prevalent. It's really funny. Like how people who mess up words in songs, like they don't know the words.
Yeah.
So Stairway to Heaven, one of George's friends wasn't a rock person. He was like a disco person, but he tried to play it and he was singing, "There's a lake by the shore."
Well, look, I got to give you the best one I've ever heard. It was from my son. My son has special needs, and so he hears things sometimes, and he doesn't hear the right word. So, the Star Spangled Banner.
Okay.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we paled? This is the best one. By the twilight's last beagly. He still sings that, and it's the cutest damn thing.
Oh my God,
By
that's
the
so funny.
twilight's last beagly. What's a beagly, Michael?
I was watching a movie. It was like a Jewish family and a Catholic family get together. I think it was Used People, and the kids are the Jewish kid is talking to, I think it was that movie, I don't remember, to the other kid going, saying the Our Father, and it was Howard be thy name.
One of my mates used to sing Twisting Malibu. She was singing it for years for Twisting by the Pool. Dire Straits. Twisting Malibu. Oh, there's loads of them. Everyone's. Yeah.
Other band names like Def Leppard. Why did they call themselves Def Leppard? Well, leopards don't change their spots, right? Well, they especially don't change their spots if they're deaf and they can't hear what people are telling them.
Right.
They're making fun of the population. They're like
I
a
would love
deaf
to do a
leopard.
show on this. This would be such a great thing because it's also very entertaining, you know, because
This is all the bird language stuff. It's called language of the birds, or the green language, or the language, and it's steganography. They're hiding information cryptically in all the media and in names, and it, like, oh God, who should I pick on, John, for a name? What's a good name that's decodable? There's Stu Peters, but that's that's too obvious.
What about Sandra Bullock?
Bollocks.
Sandra Bollocks.
Yeah, Sandra Bollocks. There's a ton of the names out there that you can process, but oh gosh,
Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, Bernie Madoff with the money.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, it's a fried bank man.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So you look at these characters, and when you look at the etymology of names and like where names came from, you can extract information out of it.
Sam Altman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the alternate.
Right?
Yeah, Elon's going to win, but
AI.
Yeah. This stuff is everywhere. And once again, if you're just looking at a few references, it doesn't make sense. But when you look at a vast number of references, it all snaps together and it all goes together. And there's so you can see the same message across different movies and books, but it's through a different lens. So when you look at Star Wars, you're going to get a completely different point of view of the same message than if you look at Star Trek. It's just a completely different universe. So you have to figure out the pieces of like how it fits together. So one of my favorite things in Star Wars that I just figured out, and I don't think you've heard this, John, is R2-D2 is like the thinking Anons, and C-3PO is like the normies.
R&D squared, R squared, D squared.
Yeah, R2-D2, right?
Yeah.
They research and they develop way more than the normal person, so they're Anons, right? And then you got C-3PO. Well, how does the name work? Well, PO, that's like people. C3, I see through people. They see the world through the lens of people. They're more emotional. So you have the people who are really rational and think a lot, the R2-D2s, and you have the emotional thinkers. And if you look at the structure of the script of Star Wars, R2-D2 and C-3PO aren't really main characters. They're just kind of dragged along through the whole story, but they both behave completely differently. One's really emotional and thinks, C-3PO thinks he knows everything, but he's constantly being shut down like, yeah, I don't care, shut up, right? And then R2-D2 doesn't say a whole lot. He doesn't say anything that you can understand, but he just does what he thinks is right through the whole movie.
Yeah.
C-3PO gets emotional. We're doomed, sir.
Yeah, and he says, they're in the middle of the desert, and R2-D2 says, no, we have to go that way. And C-3PO says, well, I'm not going that way. And he goes off the other direction, but they both end up at the same place with the Jawas, right? It's kind of like this whole thing that's going on right now. You've got all these people arguing with different points of view and different personalities, but we're all going to end up in the same place.
Yeah. You know, I have to tell you, with all the things we talk about, tell me if you agree with this. I think a decode down that way is probably going to have more cognitive dissonance for people because it's so tied to your emotion, like music and what you, if you had you looked up to these musicians or they got you through your youth or the vision that you had, like that is really, that goes right into the emotions. And that's much more, I believe, painful than telling me about world leaders and, like.
Well, imagine having a hero, basically, a musician, an idol that you idolize and you think, oh, they can do no wrong. And then find out that the whole time they've just been lying and that they didn't write these songs.
Especially if it got you through, like, when we're teenagers, we're insecure.
A lot of people have songs that, like, when they went through a traumatic part of their life, there's a certain song that they really identified with. And that attachment is purely an emotional attachment, and they're reading in meaning, right? Their situation that happened to them traumatically didn't exist when the person wrote that song. The song wasn't written for that, but they associate that trauma with that song, right? So when you tell them, oh yeah, that song's actually about garbage cans, it's making fun of people, they're going to go, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I like that artist. I know what they do. I know them better than you do.
Well, they built their identity around that, so it became incorporated into a part of them. Or really, especially if you're a teenager, right? Because you're still finding your identity and you're so vulnerable. But fuck it, I think we should really go after this.
Some of it's a lot of fun. I mean, the finding this stuff like there's a group called Ylvis, YLVIS, out of what is it, Finland?
No, they Norwegian, I think.
Norway. Yeah, they're hilarious. They're incredibly intelligent. They have Disney level production value for some inexplicable reason. It's just two guys, and there's Q references in their songs. It's crazy the stuff that's in Ylvis songs.
When was it from? The 70s and 80s?
No, like
no,
2000.
They're
oh,
like,
now.
Yeah, recent, very recent.
Yeah, they started out as they started out on the radio. I think their name of their show was called OFAG.
Yeah, O-Fag.
But which OFAGs apparently in Norway is a series like a coursework series like A levels or O levels. But it was OFAG. But they have a song called Trucker's Hitch, a video. And it's hilarious, but I want to say it's at like the 2 minute and 17-second mark or the 1 minute and 17-second mark. There, if you hold it there's a guy sailing in the water, a one-man sailboat. Sailboat's Tiffany blue, white sail. And what's on the sail? The letter Q.
Yeah, and there's a number on it. I think it's the tail number of JFK Jr.'s plane.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And the guys that did, what did the Fox say?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and that's a whole. There's a decode for that. We've
been through every one of their songs. There's crazy levels of stuff in their music, and a lot of times you have to pair the video with the music. Like there's a song by Judas Priest called "Turbo Lover," that in what we call the cartoon narrative, it's basically describing the good guys telling the bad guys, "Look, there's no escape. We're coming to get you. You're screwed." Right.
There's a lot of that messaging in the 80s metal stuff. Yeah. Balls to the Wall by Accept. The lyrics of that song do not match what you expect a heavy metal. In fact, a heavy metal with a flaming gay singer who's been caught cruising in bathhouses and shit, public bathrooms. But the song is about humans in bondage and getting out of their bonds of slavery, rising up to the fuckers that have kept them in chains, and we're going to pin your balls to the wall. That doesn't belong in a heavy metal song.
Right.
Those guys. I want to say one other thing before I forget. Here's a movie for you with a name that, of course, The Truman Show, The True Man Show, True Man.
What does it mean to be a true man? Like if you're just believing what everybody tells you, you're not a true man.
Right.
You're not thinking for yourself yet. And the whole movie is about him escaping his environment by saying, oh, no, I'm going to do this instead.
Yeah.
True man. Yep.
Yeah. Anybody can escape anytime they want, but they have to think through their own environment and figure out what's actually real. Yeah. And I think that's what the Great Awakening is. And I sadly don't have a lot of hope for most of the population.
No. It's all escaping the Matrix, isn't it?
Well, it is escaping the Matrix.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Matrix is like a multi-level mess. The movie The Matrix metaphorically tells you exactly what they're doing. It doesn't tell you why, and it makes it look really scary. But the problem isn't some big bad supervillain. The problem is inside of everyone. Everyone has the capability of really screwing everything up, and they don't realize it.
Well, you know that movie was stolen. Like Tom Althouse was the original writer of that, and it was called, because I've interviewed him many times, and they changed a lot, and his meaning was very much disclosure. That's why he wrote it, because it was safe to write that. But of course, there's a whole legal thing,
but there you are believing what the artists are saying about their work.
Well, he actually has the original that he filed.
I'm sure
and I wouldn't put him past it because he's lost 2 sons.
With something in the propaganda environment we find ourselves in the last 50 years, with something as clear and pivotal as the movie The Matrix, I wouldn't believe any amount of evidence surrounding that
Except,
Well, I think you need to talk to him personally. It would probably be very interesting for you because his story is very emotional and there's a lot of connection
But
to.
the point is to have that emotional story behind the movie Matrix.
hang on. I see a different perspective here entirely. I see the same thing that we've seen in movie adaptations from whatever the name of the original book was, to Day the Earth Stood Still 1, Day the Earth Stood Still revision in 08. It's the delta that matters, right? The delta in the stories, what changes in the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so to go on a quick tangent, Day the Earth Stood Still versus the remake in 08 with Keanu Reeves. The Day the Earth Stood Still, by the way, none of it's like the book, the sci-fi book from 1948. But one of the major differences in the new one is when you have John Cleese saying, you got to give us a chance. You can't just destroy the planet. Only at the precipice will people find the will to change. That wasn't in the book, and that was not in the first one.
And precipice is a huge keyword in the whole Q thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So now to your thing with the Matrix, yeah, everyone got exposed to the Wachowski brothers who became retarded fags.
Exactly. They didn't write it. They were just, yeah.
You're right. But everybody knows that story. So how many people are actually going to go back and do what you did, Elisa, and say, wait a minute, there's another story here. There is a reason maybe why that appears to be like the guy got screwed over. And
well, he's not just any guy. That's the whole point. He's part of some bloodline stuff, and there's a lot there to unpack. So I don't want to minimize his story and his involvement with a lot of the Christian coalitions and slavery and all that stuff. So it's a rabbit hole unto itself. I'm just saying that Hollywood or whoever the powers that be kind of took that over.
Yeah.
But what we're saying is we're in an environment with thousands of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
If all of those rabbit holes are planned, how would you know?
We wouldn't.
Right. And so what I'm saying is that maybe that rabbit hole that you're talking about, Elisa, is really important, that people know it, but it was never meant to be this sort of mass thing. Because I think in the end, when stuff gets revealed, I don't think we're ever going to know if Hillary Clinton was an actress.
I agree.
But this will be one thing. The choice to know will be yours. So in this case with the Matrix, maybe the choice to really know what was really behind the Matrix and if that truly is disclosure, well, not everybody's meant to see it. And most people will never. I never dug on that. I didn't even know that till you mentioned it today.
Yeah, I didn't know it either.
Now, because I'm really curious.
But I'll bet you the differences between his script and what came out in the movie is interesting, just like the differences in 2001 between the book and the movie.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a worthy point, because maybe that rabbit hole is there for the people that decide to be curious enough to go down it and research it. It's like anons and normies on a lot of stuff, right? Normies accept the 9/11 thing, or they accept the JFK. Oh yeah, it was a little bit fucky, but whatever. Anons have dug into it and said, wait, this isn't right. And who knows if the real story will ever get released on those things. I kind of think it will, but don't know.
Yeah. And then you say, well, I went down this whole rabbit hole, but how do I know that's right? Like that's where you end up coming out on all this. Like,
that's the other thing is, if John and I are correct, then there are millions of Zoids. And I'm not even talking about PSYOP group guys in the military. That's separate. There are millions of Zoids who will lie to your face.
Wow.
Because the end goal is super, super, super important.
Yeah,
critical.
It is the highest priority in humanity.
So when are we going to do a show on the Zoids?
Well, we're kind of doing it.
We are, but
it's such a large subject that you can't just say, okay, this is what the Zoids are, because you would spend thousands of hours explaining minute detail and everybody's eyes glaze over and they go, oh, I just want to watch Netflix.
I mean, but I think all of the stuff that we talk about, we tie a lot of stuff back to what we think.
Yes, you do.
And for anybody that's asking, Zoids, we made up the term. It has to do with the dollar bill, the pyramid on top, and the eye. The eye is two-dimensional. The pyramid itself is a trapezoid. So we were calling it Zoids, trapezoid.
The power of a trapezoid.
So that's where we came up with it. But it's the faction that we think runs the world and has always run the world.
Well, at least for recorded history.
Yeah.
Well, there is much more to discuss. If you guys want to do some more shows, I mean,
yeah.
Persian belt, bird language, Zoids, TV comms and music, thinking would be a good one, as stated earlier.
Yeah.
Or not.
I know you're thinking about writing another Substack as well, Paul, aren't you? So that'd be interesting to maybe go over that when that comes out, and
I
maybe
hope I was done. I didn't want to write another one, but I'm going to have to.
I know you. Yeah, I heard you saying, "Oh, yeah." I said I'll never do another one, but here we go. Maybe we could do a show on Elvis then, and what does the fox say, and all the other stuff.
Music is a good way to do it. It kind of eats time because you have to show the videos.
Yeah,
but it's really eye opening for some of the songs. Like, well, I won't even give examples. There's a ton of examples, but it's when you start seeing this stuff there, you start looking at all the songs that are out there, and there's just thousands of them, and you can find stuff in all of them. It's really strange.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all we're trying to do is expand people's thinking, and like you say, the choice to know will be yours. I do take that line out of the cue drops that says, "You will love how this movie ends," and I sort of hold on to that a little bit.
Yeah,
because I believe, you know, they might not tell us everything, obviously, especially how they did the Q operation and things, but I want to know most of it personally.
You want to hear one of the weirdest examples? It just popped into my head. So John Lennon wrote the song "Imagine."
Yeah,
right, and it is touted as like a complete La La Land song. Right, never going to happen. I think that's where we're going.
Well, I think that's one of the best memes I've seen over the last few years. It just says, "Imagine all the people," John Lennon going,
living in harmony. All you need is love. Like, that's exactly where we're going. This is going to be real weird.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And, well, it might get a bit hairy over the next few months or
years,
however long it's going to take. But I think everyone's prepared for it as much as we are. Couldn't be any more prepared.
Well, we're prepared. I don't think a lot of people even have any clue what's going on, let alone being prepared.
Well, we have tried to plant the seeds to ease the pain for them, but if that's down to them. If they're not taking anything on board, they're going to have to feel the pain. And whether that's going to be a scare event, a precipice moment, a near-death experience.
Yeah.
We've been talking about, you know, things feel like they've been accelerating for a while, not just since Trump's been in office, but well, even, I mean, maybe early on in the Q stuff, but really Biden gets inaugurated and then all this crazy shit happens under him. It feels like things are happening a lot faster now, but I think we've still got 300 yards of shit pipe to crawl through, like Andy Dufresne.
Yeah. It also depends on where you draw the line, because like, there are people out there saying, "Oh, nothing's happening." Well, okay, look at the last year. I mean, there's a ton of crap happening, right? But I think we haven't even dipped our toe in the water of how extreme the changes that are going to happen are. But we're kind of on a water slide, and the whole population is just a blob. Some people are going to reach the other side before the other, or before the people in the back. But I think everybody gets there. You can say doom and gloom, and we're all going to be killed. Or you can look at what's going on and say, isn't it interesting that in the last 10 years, there's been so many threats that we're all going to die and just none of that happened? Mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing? I mean, that in itself is extraordinarily coincidental.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So maybe this is all just going to work out. Maybe it is a plan. I mean, Q says, trust the plan, but then they say nobody's coming to save you. Well, which is it? All right. It can't be both. And of course they'll rationalize it, but they're missing the bigger picture, which is that it's a psychological operation. It's a way to kickstart people into thinking. And I think people will be very amazed. I personally think it's going to go a lot faster than most people believe is possible today. I think when it's happening, they're going to go, "Oh man, did you hear this? Wow." And they're all going to be distracted by exactly the right things. And we're going to get through this.
The flood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're not in the storm yet. This is not the storm.
We're getting sucked into the black hole right now.
Yeah. I would
I mean,
agree.
we've just had those Epstein files dropped, haven't we? And now there's all the talk about, Trump going, and we're still talking about those things, but there's a lot of emails coming out there and a lot of names. The left is obviously silent about it, but so many people are digging into that. And
the bigger concern in my mind isn't that stuff. The bigger concern is, how do you decouple capitalism from the way people lead their lives, because nobody needs a job.
Yeah.
Well, that is the bigger picture. But
that's why I need to write another Substack.
Yeah, but the people that are getting some of the information that we've seen and heard and talked about for so many years are just hearing it. So like you said, they're at the back, you know?
Yeah, it's a giant blob and everybody has their own rate. And this thing is planned out so that nobody is left behind, or as few people as possible. Some people, like the lady with the hardware store in her face, she might decide to off herself. Well, free will and all that. The Zoids are very good with free will. They're like, wow, you did that? That sucks for you.
That just seems so ridiculous. I mean, she didn't even look like a good actress.
No. Well, a lot of it is so absurd that it's intentionally absurd. I mean, look at these guys that put on dresses and they have, a 5-day beard like I do, and they're like, do I look pretty? It's like, that's not real, people.
Does this dress hide my bulge? No, it doesn't. Somebody wrote in the chat, Magic Bird, I guess. If the truth comes out too fast, 99% of the people end up in the hospital, a mental one for sure. Yeah, I agree. I think that's why we have to keep going through this shit. Anons see this as shit. It's like, man, we've been doing this shit for 8 years now, except it's the normies that need it. And I think it's going to be more for them. It's going to be hindsight comfort.
There's way more normies than Anons.
Oh, way more.
But see, the movie's not for us, but we're the only people watching it.
Yeah, I said to Paul, I think I said something yesterday or today. I said, this kind of feels like we're in a movie, like a movie producer role or an investor role, right? We've invested because we've read the script and we've seen the initial script. We don't know how the thing is going to turn out from A to B. We know what B is. We know how it's going to end. Yeah. We don't know all the plot twists in between.
Right.
And we're so ready for this thing to go to the box office for us to get our return on the investment. We got to watch this shit while everybody else gets to go to the theater and go, ooh, oh, yeah, we know.
Every day they get to live through a new crisis that's mostly in their head because they believed Leon at the bar.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, let's see what happens.
Paul's not a patriot. He doesn't believe anything's real.
Well, once again, this has been a really great show, very stimulating and thought-provoking. So I hope, from the number of viewers we had, I think people are really interested in what we had to say. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And all we want to do is expand your thinking a little bit more. So if we do some more shows, you will have your mind opened a bit more.
Yeah, don't trust us. Think for yourself.
Exactly. Don't believe us. Just because we believe this stuff doesn't mean that you need to believe it. There's plenty of other stuff that would contradict us out there. Maybe not on a level that would convince me, but there's stuff. So I only know what I believe. Don't believe it because I said it.
Definitely. Same. And this goes for all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Where we go, one we go all. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone in the chat. We love you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
This is the difference between the power of our Creator and anything else, particularly evil. That you can go into a pitch black room full of evil, full of darkness, and light a little candle, and instantly that darkness flees. But you can't do the opposite. You can't go into a well-lit room full of truth and wisdom and righteousness and joy and health and harmony with the universal power. And you can't take any amount of darkness and go into that well-lit room and have any effect whatsoever. That is the metaphor which I frequently think of when I think that I'm not empowered. It is the greatest lesson for me, and I think for everybody else, to know that we're on the winning side and that we win in the end.